How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios, and we are back with session 54 of Wilderland Adventures. And we will be joined by all of our players tonight, but at the current, we are joined by two of them. Let's just go ahead and have our two players that are here introduce themselves, starting with Theodric.
Hey everybody, I'm that tubby Australian. I play Theodric Grimborn. He is an 18-year-old man of Rohan. He is our slayer. I would consider him the tankier of the two of our slayers. He's got his great shield and a decent armor class, so, he is kind of the defensive front line of the party. He's joined in his adventures by his beloved steed, Baradorok. And, right now, his kind of playing things by the ear and listening to Feanor's ideas.
Absolutely. Right now is it's an interesting time for the party, and currently the party is split off. Speaking about the other part of the split off party, we have just mine, Zachville Baggins.
Please, don't you know you never split the party? We're just, scattered.
Just scattered. Yeah,
I,
there you go. I
yeah,
like that.
just scattered. That's all. Yes, I play just mine Sackville Baggins. I am SpiderFan33 in chat also. She is an indeterminate age, which her companion still hasn't figured out. Go her. The more perceptive viewers would notice I have a different background today. That's because I'm pet sitting, pet/house sitting. So if you see a pet approach, that's why.
Get excited. It's good stuff.
Get excited. Oh yeah, it's great.
I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, we love Jess. She's our sneaky rogue, treasure hunter, and
Sneaky hobbitses, yes.
Sneaky hobbitses. And our last character, because we don't want to break in the middle of the action when Feanor does eventually jump in, but our last character is Feanor, and he's played by Nick. And he is a wood elf from the woodland realm of Mirkwood. And he is also a slayer, but a different kind of slayer. He also has a steed as well, which is a white deer named Nymphiarion. And he's currently in the thick of it, having a deep heart-to-heart with Voltaire. And so we'll figure out what goes on with that when Nick does eventually jump in here. But I am Kyle. I am the lore master. I am playing both with and against these players as they make their impact on Middle-earth, particularly in the region of Wilderland, and helping to narrate their story as they, defeat evil and save the day. So hopefully we can see a little bit of that today. But a little bit of recap before we jump into the story, and we're going to start with the Jess side of things. But currently, just to catch you up, we're episode 54 in. You got lots of episodes to catch up. But in recent history, they're in search of a boy named Oderic. He's a Beorning from the town of Stonyford. And upon returning to Stonyford, the party found out that he decided to go west across the Anduin, where he let's just say joined up with a group of interesting individuals ruled by a man named Voltaire. This is a man who is a descendant of the captain lines of Dale from the time before the dragon, and he seeks to go reclaim the throne of Dale from Bard, but in order to do that, he needs to carve his way through Bard's allies, the closest of which being Beorn. Closest and one of the strongest of which being Beorn. And so the party has infiltrated this camp, some of them in a sneaky way, some of them in a way of friendship, I guess. I don't know. They're not being harmful, but they infiltrated the camp to figure out what was going on, to which they discovered Oderic is here. And they were able to have some conversations with him and eventually convince him to leave with them and not ultimately group up with Voltaire and his plans. However, Voltaire has different plans. He plans on within the immediate future going and laying siege on the lands of the Beorning, starting with Stonyford and making his way northward to confront Beorn eventually himself. And the company is finding out all kinds of different things. Not only how charismatic Voltaire is, but also he has this ability to foresight, this ability to see the future. And with that being the case, he seems to know things about the party that not very many people know, or in fact nobody knows. And he seems to have this strange power that surrounds him and giving him this confidence to be able to achieve his goal. And so they've seen many of different things. Jess, she was able to have conversations with Oderic and again convince him to leave and make his way back to Stonyford. And she decided to disappear into the night before a grandiose speech that Voltaire had. Basically, the initiation of Oderic was happening, and also the announcing of the future plans. But with that being the case,
And I got a sword.
yeah, you did get a sword. You did were a little loot goblin, and you while everything was empty and all of the men in camp were eating their meals, you were able to find, what was it? It's called the Blade of Rune, I think.
Yeah, it's like first of all, being a loot goblin is basically my whole job. Don't say it like it's a bad thing.
That's true.
Um,
Sticky finger hobbitses.
yes, very sneaky. Yeah, Blade of Rune.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And so and for those who have been in this campaign for a while, that's actually really, really good. I think you got like a nat 20 to find that or something.
It was a pretty high. I don't remember it
was
being a nat 20,
pretty
but it
high
was pretty
roll. But yeah, it's very difficult to find upgraded pieces of gear in AME, and so the fact that she was able to get her hands on this is kind of a big deal. And so with that at her side, she was able to steal off into night, which I am curious on what she's going to do. And with that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over that same evening to Jess. So Jess, as you leave and you hear the people behind you all cheering as they are enjoying food and merriment, you find your way into the darkness. The lands are still, and as you exit the tree canopy, there's a little bit of like a muting between the people that are inside and out. However, someone that is walking by, that is traveling by, would easily be able to see the lights looking into the woods or even hear the commotion that was going in. But with the amount of voices, it's as you know, this camp has about 250 people, and with what you know about what their task is going to be, you're here, you're all alone. And what are you doing at this moment?
Perfect. I'm still gonna be stealthy, until I can get right away from the camp, like even further away from where that first round of sentries were able to spot us, like properly out of eyesight of everyone. Then I'm gonna come out of hiding and I'm gonna try and find Burgundy and Broderick.
I'm going to have you make a stealth check. This will be at advantage.
Okay, perfect. Okay, big money, no Emmys. Let me get my thing to work. Nice, 17.
17. You easily sneak out with the tall grass and everything. You're able to make your way towards the direction of the Anduin. However, the one thing that is pretty difficult in this situation is you don't really know where the horse and the pony are. The last thing that you remembered, Theodric was staying back with them, and he did tell you that he sent them off northward when the three of you reconvened. But in the meantime, you're either going to have to go look for them, or if you have the ability to try to call them, you can try to give me an idea of what you want to do to find Broderick and Burgundy. Do you want to just like continue to walk and search?
I think she will like go, oh dang it. I don't have any way to call Broderick. What does Theodric do when he wants to call Broderick? And like she'll try and do his whistle, but
Okay.
she'll fail miserably at doing the whistle. So then she's gonna guess like after a few attempts, she's gonna okay, whatever. And then she'll look for tracks.
I'm going to have you make a investigation check for me.
Perfect. Hilarious. I have a -1. 11 total.
11. And so you are actually able to find the tracks. Fortunately, it's decently easy with all of the grass and the tall grass to see where it's been trampled down by big creatures. A horse and a pony wading its way through the grass isn't that difficult to be able to track. And so you do so. You only walk for about 20 to 30 minutes until you see off in the distance a dark image of two creatures. As you get closer, they stop and they stare at you as if wary about you, but immediately you can hear a small neigh from Burgundy as she immediately recognizes your scent. And she, tied still to Broderick, kind of tugs him, and he follows behind as the two of them approach.
Perfect. All right. Okay, perfect. Horses. So I'm gonna lead them. Where should I lead them? I'm actually gonna lead them along the path that we actually took to get to the camp. So not going back to the camp through the woods, but leading them further away from it, back on the path, like the track that we took up when we were following O'Derrick and the gang.
So away from it, or not towards the woods, like back towards the direction
Yeah,
you came
back
from?
the way we originally traveled from. Yeah.
Perfect. And you do so quite easily. As mentioned, there's kind of like these roads, and you eventually, after about an hour or two, find your way back at the crossroads where the two kind of sets of tracks meet. And there's kind of a bunch of padded down grass and stuff that's there, and so it's pretty easy to see. What's your plan from this point?
I think I'm just gonna like lead them slightly off the track so we're not covering the entire road, and I won't hide myself, but I'll just when Burgundy and Broderick get a bit settled and like I'm just gonna like lean up against one of them and then just take a real quick nap.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's just a very light nap. So yeah.
You find that actually this area, this area west of the Anduin, seems more peaceful than traveling even through Beorn's country. It seems less wild, and you're unsure why, but I'm gonna have you make it a survival check to figure that out.
Okay, perfect. 5. Yeesh. 7.
It's difficult to tell, but perhaps it's the large presence of hunters that are in the area. The men that are at the camp, Voltaire's camp, are quite well fed, and that probably has a little bit something to do with it. But you don't see even any signs of predators here either. It just seems like all food sources for the hunt are gone.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I'll just take a little snooze on the side of the road. Yeah. I'm gonna like trust Burgundy and Broderick a little bit here to like wake me up if anything's coming.
For sure, for sure. With that being the case, are you just going to sleep and waiting for anything in particular, or do you plan on resting and then moving on as soon as possible?
I will. Okay, so the plan is resting either until something disturbs me or the sun comes up, whichever comes first.
Okay, perfect. And so you go ahead and you get some shut-eye and fall asleep. I'm going to have you make an animal handling check. This will determine how alert the animals are to your to what's going on around and how protective they are.
I got a 2.
All right.
Doesn't change what I'm doing.
Perfect, perfect. And as you begin to doze off, you find yourself finding fast sleep. reminiscing and thinking about and dreaming about the events of the previous day. And with that being the
It's
case,
been a long day.
it's been a long day. And with that being the case, we're going to go ahead and jump right back over to the camp. This is a time that is, so we have the two individuals, Theodric and Feanor. Feanor is currently off with Voltaire alone. Voltaire at this point has already dismissed Oderic, and Oderic has wandered back to the main group. Theodric, you do notice this, but you don't see that Feanor has made his way back. Theodric, what are you doing in this moment?
Sorry, where was I last time? I was just sitting at the
Sitting at the table.
tables eating dinner. I haven't seen Feanor yet.
The last thing that the two of you had mentioned is both of you were brought up to the front, and during the trial of essentially inviting Oderic in. He needed to pass a test, and the test was to basically decide the fate of Black Tom. And so he decided to spare his life, and Tom fled into the night as fast as he could. But with that being the case, right after that, Voltaire took Oderic and Feanor off into a further place in the camp to talk, and they have been gone for probably a solid 30-35 minutes. After about 30-ish minutes, Oderic does return, but you do not see Feanor return.
Theodric, I guess while this has been going, he's been doing his best to blend in and to just kind of seem like nothing's out of place. So he's been, enjoying the feast, like eating. He's been very careful to like make it seem like he's drinking a lot, but not like getting like he's not drinking. Like he's taking sips every now and then, but he's trying to just blend in and look like he's having a good time. Is Oderic with anyone when he returns? Like
he is
he's not with Feanor.
So he's alone. He still has his sword at his side and like everything at his back. And as he returns, you can see that his general demeanor is he's looking at the ground. He's not looking forward, almost as if he is in contemplation. Theodric, I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me.
A 20.
20. There's clearly something on his mind. He doesn't look like he went through any physical altercation. And what happened with Theodric is something that is still a mystery, but he doesn't look like there was any blood that has been spilled or any kind of scrap that has happened. But he's a boy that is clearly in deep thought about something. Something is troubling him.
Okay. And there's nobody around him. Like he doesn't like. There's no group that's like.
No, he eventually comes. He eventually comes into the camp and he sits at the end of one of the tables and he begins eating. A couple people come up and they slap him on the shoulders and they congratulate him about being initiated into the band. But other than that, he's just left to his own devices as he's eating. Everybody's very preoccupied with the feast that is at hand. Okay,
Theodric is going to approach him and kind of wait until he and Oderic have a bit of privacy.
Okay. That's going to be a little bit difficult. You can pick him up and move a little bit further away from camp. If that is the case, I'm going to have you make a stealth or deception check, depending on what you're trying to do there. You can attempt to talk to him while he is there, and if you want to keep quiet, that'll also be a stealth check.
Okay. Okay, I may not try and do this stealthily. I'm just going to be careful with my words, I think, then.
Okay.
But yeah, Theodric's going to approach him and kind of clap him on the back as he, gets there.
You see that he kind of is shocked at first as you do clap him on the back, and he looks to you and he moves over and he's like, "Oh yes, have a seat. My name, I'm sure you know by now, is Oderic. What can I do for you?"
Yeah. Hello, Oderic. I'm Theodric. I'm Feanor's compatriot, as I'm sure you've noticed.
His eyes immediately light up as he looks at you, and then immediately back down to his food. And then he starts, eating, occupying himself and eating.
Okay. Can I roll another insight to see if that's like nervous behavior or if he's just like
Yeah.
kind of doing it to like that's a 12.
12. It is nervous behavior. You're unsure about exactly what it is, but this is a boy who is clearly he is on high alert. Let's just say that.
Okay,
And
but
the mention of Feanor like sparked this nervous behavior. That's clear.
oh. Can I tell if it's like he's nervous of me and Feanor or can't tell?
It's hard to tell.
Okay. Theodric's going to just kind of note that and continue on like I have to admit that was quite the decision you made. It's not easy to stick by your own morals and do what you think is right when you've got so many people watching and judging.
He stops eating and he just stares down for a moment and he says, Theodric, this is perhaps one of the first moments in my life that I've been able to stay my blade arm. I don't know what it was. He looked innocent. I'm not going to do something that is going to hurt an innocent man. Don't get me wrong, I've hurt many, many, many people in the past. And as he says that, he's like shakes his head like even more firmly with every many.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know, maybe in my mind I've convinced every one of those people that they've deserved it to some degree, but that man did nothing to deserve death.
No, that's good. I'm glad that you've come to that realization, I guess. There are a lot of people who unfortunately see mercy as a weakness and ruthlessness as a strength. I think discovering mercy and people's capacity for it early on is probably a very important lesson for any true warrior.
He stops eating and he looks up at you, and you can see that there's dread in his face, but he says to you in very clear words, he says, and that's why I joined Voltaire. He's one of the few people that I've met, even people within this camp, that have the capacity for mercy, I think.
Theodric is going to just he's going to take a real sip of his drink and just say, you're probably right. But sometimes you have to wonder who that mercy's for and whether those people do deserve it.
I think you're right.
Because sometimes, unfortunately, mercy to the guilty can be seen as treason to their victims.
He looks at you and he says, you can't be much younger than me. How did you find yourself here?
That is a very long story, but actually, without getting into too much detail, I met your foster father in Stonyford, and I have a bit of your story, so honestly, there are a lot of parallels between the two of us. I lost my parents quite early on in my life, and I was taken in by a Lord of Rohan, who he took me in and raised me, and eventually he decided before I settle down and become a sworn sword of his house, I should travel, see the world, try to understand, learn more about different people and different cultures and, test myself in battle before coming back. It's how I fell in with Feanor was, we met in Dale ages ago. And, yeah, we've just kind of been traveling together since, getting into scraps and getting out of scraps, but mostly getting into trouble.
He chuckles a little bit, and he adjusts uncomfortably as he looks around as if to speak, or as if to like watch to see if anyone's speaking. And he leans over in a hushed voice, and he says, "Where's Jess?"
Diedrich's also got to have. Can I do a perception check?
Yeah,
Sure
go
no
and
one's
make a
listening.
perception check.
12.
She's a hard one to find, especially if she doesn't want to be found.
Oh, I'm not looking for Jess. I'm making sure no one's eavesdropping.
Oh, yeah, nobody is.
He knows he can't find
I
me.
Not even in the slightest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully she's already with our horses.
I've just remembered something else
knowing
very
her-
important
Oh.
that I'm going to interrupt this roleplay to remind everyone of.
Mhm.
Kyle, did I set a fuse?
You did. You set a bunch of fuses between some of the alcohol barrels that are spread
I
throughout the camp.
totally forgot about that. Okay, cool. Just so we're all aware.
Look, it's fine. It's fine.
Wait, did you warn us of that plan?
We all agreed to that. We agreed that there would
plan was
be
very
a
loose.
signal.
Yeah.
We agreed there would be a signal.
There's an ambiguous signal.
Okay, thank you for reminding me. That is important. He's going to be.
I only just remembered that.
Hopefully Jess is with the horses, but she said to wait for a signal and then make a run for it.
Do you think that'll be tonight? And he looks out of the corner of his eye, and his eye lingers on someone at the very far end of the table as he puts his head back down and begins taking a couple more bites of his food.
Can I subtly turn my head to see who he was looking at?
With that 12 perception, you can follow his eyes to a man at the very end of the table who's sitting, and he has some meat in his hand, and he's eating, and his feet are kicked up at the table, and he has a dagger in his hands, and he's twirling it on the table as he's like looking down at the table in your general direction. He is far enough away, and there's enough noise that it would be very, very difficult to hear from that far away if he could hear what you were saying. But he is watching you.
Is this the captain guy who was put in charge of keeping an eye on Oderic?
Perhaps.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know. Sorry, because that was just a mind sneaky. Okay. Theodric's gonna just turn back to Oderic and say, expecting any trouble, or who's he?
He glances over again, and he says, well, he's my keeper. I'm young, and so are you, and I'm assuming that if you are to join this band of adventurers, and he says that a little bit higher, in a little bit louder of a voice before hushing his tone down a little bit, he says, those of us who are young, those of us who have not known what it means to have the years to gain control of ourselves, whether it's on the battlefield or in a group of people such as this. Let's just say Voltaire wants others to be looking out for us. I think in your case, you have Feanor, who seems quite
That's
good.
arguable, but I understand what you're getting at.
And he shakes his head and he says, if we are to leave tonight, I need to get out of sight of him, because I will not be able to leave this place without, well, at least without being trailed. That is a man who can stick to the shadows much finer than many that I've seen in my day.
Okay. And does this gentleman have a name?
He goes by Farron the Trapper. He's well, some call him an outlaw, but he's more notoriously known to be a famous hunter. He used to hunt game in Mirkwood when he was part of the woodman settlements. He was kicked out for stealing, and he's been on the road ever since. Some time back, he met up with Voltaire, and the two of them took a understanding to each other. The first time that I had met Voltaire, it was actually through Farron. He found me before I was able to find Voltaire.
Okay. Well, whenever this mysterious signal of Jess's goes off, you you should probably wait. Which way did we come from?
So you currently are in the middle of this wood here. Stonyford is up here-ish.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
kind of
so
want to
kind
just
of southwest.
point him vaguely in the direction of Jess and, well, where I would assume Jess and my horses are.
Mhm.
Like the direction I sent Barada off and Burgundy off in.
Mhm. Yeah, perfect. And he nods his head and he says, "They don't have horses. They don't have anything of the kind here. And moving an army this big would take some time, but that doesn't mean that they won't send out scouts to track us if we're... I would prefer to do this
Quietly.
quietly."
I understand. Do feel a little bit calmed though. There aren't many horses that can keep up with those of Rohan.
So I've heard. He looks up and he looks over your shoulder past you. And at this point, you can see slowly walking backward is Feanor and Voltaire. And at that point, let's go ahead and jump over to Feanor and Voltaire. At this point, the two of you have stood
Wait.
up after your conversation. Yes.
Wait, one sec. You said walking backward.
Walking back towards
Back
the group.
towards.
Walking,
Okay.
going in
Feanor
your
just
heard
direction.
that.
Just
And it just
like
conjured
moonwalking his way
some
back into
images.
camp.
Voltaire and
Yeah,
Feanor
yeah.
moonwalking back towards the feast.
Yeah.
You hear Billy
We
Jean playing
became
in the
such
background.
tight bros in that in that half an hour that we were gone. We're doing a dance off, and it's finally made its way back to the main arena.
But the two of you have stood up from the seated position that you were in, and you have started making your way back. He looks to you, Feanor, and he says, "I see a lot of you in myself, and vice versa. Enjoy the feast tonight. There's a time for
Theodric and-
peace.
Yeah.
There's a time for difficult things."
Theodric and I may not stay the night, but I'm glad that Oderic seems like a nice enough young lad. And it is always nice to see someone stay their hand when it comes to the blade. Mercy is not always warranted, but especially for one so young, even if it was the wrong decision, I'm glad that it is one that he could make.
This is why I have so much trust in him, Feanor. There are many people throughout this camp, many that have come and pledged themselves to me, but very few that I would trust directly at my side. The ability to show mercy is important to me. You say you're departing tonight. At this point, like, he's come into kind of the main circle. And so at this point, Theodric, you would probably be able to hear him and Feanor chatting as they make their way back into the group of people. You say you're departing tonight. Well, I just want you to think upon the opportunity that you have here with us.
As I stated, I have business that I need to conduct, but I won't lie. What you have said has intrigued me. It was not what I was looking for or what I was after, but it is alluring.
I know.
Just remember what I told you. No matter what, and Feanor looks down at his waist at the sack.
Mhm.
Whatever you might gain, there is always a cost. There's always a price to doing something the fast way, the easy way. Glimpses of what may come comes with a cost. And think if should a king do what you're doing, would you depose such a man?
I guess it depends
It's
on what he
food for
stands
thought.
for. I guess it depends on what he stands for. And he looks to you and he gives you a genuine smile. And he sees that Theodric and Oderic are speaking, and he says, "Ah, good to see Oderic. You're making friends there."
Oh, yeah, Theodric's chatting a bit more. Generally the stoic type. I'm glad. I don't know. In another lifetime, I think he would have made his way probably to a group of men like this, instead of roaming around with me, being around other men with a purpose, a goal. I can very much imagine him doing that. He's a driven man, but sometimes you just want that stability.
Freedom is a beautiful thing. I've spent much of my life on the road, living a free life, as they say, but some say that destiny draws you to a certain moment in time, to which he addresses the entire crowd, and he says, "Which means, to everybody that is gathered here, we are here because of destiny. We are here because of fate. Fate has drawn us all together this day, this night, and young Oderic here is the latest testament to that. We had some visitors, as you have perhaps noticed, Fëanor and Theodric. They are travelers from afar, and they have the ability to perhaps increase our number, perhaps give us useful information on what our path ahead is to hold. I trust them." He smiles. "I want you to treat these two, for at least the time that they stay, with the absolute highest standing. I will not see a finger laid on them while they are here. They're still contemplating joining our merry band, and they've got some time. Enjoy your meals tonight, brethren. In 2 days' time, we march for Stonyford. Make sure to gather all of your belongings. We're going to find home soon enough. At least home for a time being. Because after that, the real battle starts." And he draws his sword, and he points it to the air. And he says, "First on the chopping block, Beorn and his people." And without any hesitation, all of the men draw their weapons around, spears, bows, swords, axes, all together, and they raise, and they say, "For Voltaire, King of Dale!" And he nods and he smiles and he says, "Enjoy yourselves. We leave in 2 days' time." And with that, he looks to you. One of the men stand up and they give a plate to him, and he takes it, he turns around, and he goes back into his tent, disappearing for the evening.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Fëanor, kind of as like the king, Voltaire, I suppose, has gone back to his tent. Is going to like look around the camp. How drunk are these people?
There's a few that are pretty drunk. You can tell some of them have been drinking pretty much all day. There are a few individuals, particularly the ones that are more well-armed, that you can tell have either not touched alcohol or are just lightly drinking. These men, from what you have noticed, are the ones that are closest to him and are been tasked with keeping an eye out on camp. And so in this general vicinity, specifically around the feasting area, eyes are there, but there doesn't seem to be any suspicion of any kind. But there definitely are some that are not pretty wasted. But there are a good amount. I would say probably more than half of them are pretty darn drunk.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Fëanor's going to make a little mental note of that. And I guess he's going to make his way towards Theodric, and he's going to give him a, like, "Oh, there's my lad. You guys treating him well? How are we all going?
Many people at
Another
the table,
round!"
They raise their mugs and they shout. They're like, "Hear, hear! Enjoy the feast! Enjoy the feast!" And then they start singing together. all kinds of songs from their people, and it becomes kind of this amalgamation of different songs from different cultures kind of all fitting together. Some of them are talking about their time in Mirkwood. Some of them, you could tell, are soldiers and warriors and are singing tales of their trips to war or into battle. You can see that some of them are singing songs from peace back home. And it's quite interesting. Everyone seems to be together, but kind of in their own little worlds to a degree.
Mhm. Taking advantage of like the extra large like cacophony of sound, Feanor is going to lean in towards Theodric and say, "We leave. We're leaving tonight. Soon. Be prepared."
Yeah. Any clue what Jessamine's signal's going to be?
Look for it to get our attention. It's going to get everyone's attention. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine that it's going to be something loud and or involving a lot of fire.
Lovely. Okay, we have slight hiccup. There's a gentleman back there, the severe fellow who's keeping an eye on O'Derrick for the night. Apparently he's a very good tracker and hunter. So, we're either gonna have to haul ass and hope that we can outrun him, or once it's time for us to scarper, we're gonna have to deal with him.
I would rather get away from here unseen, but if it's going to be more difficult for Derek, then I suppose I guess I'll make a distraction.
That could work. We just don't want you getting caught up in everything when the whatever this signal is goes off.
No, trust me. Just trust me. When the distractions away from you two take the chance to slip away.
Okay.
And Feanor's going to give him a little pat on the shoulder, and is going to like walk towards like the middle of this area. Like I'm assuming like Theodric kind of like pointed out the dude that we're trying to like get distract, and Feanor's going to call out, and he's like, everyone, Lord Voltaire, sorry, King Voltaire.
You hear everybody cheer around you.
Yeah, has been especially kind to me while I have been here. Just now, we went off and we were able to share a deep discussion and find common ground in terms of endearment were exchanged and friendship was shared. I think that you, Merry Band, are going to be amazing. And I would like to share with you a tale of elven heroes who might inspire your journey, and how men and elves once fought in union for what is right, to beat back the shadow. And Feanor is going to like hop up onto a table and is going to be start talking about Gilgalad and like the king of the elves and like the battle against Sauron and like what he knows from history, like these legendary tales of the greatest elven warriors that have like ever existed, and like the men that marched with them, like the Gondorians, like just like these like people of legend who maybe one day you will be said along in these tales as well as those who rose up and did what was right. And I'm trying to draw as much attention towards myself as possible.
Make a performance check for me.
Let's hope this goes well, lads. A 16.
16. You begin to tell it without any bit of shakiness at all. Immediately as you begin to gather people's attention, people drop what they are doing and they look to you. You stand there with the big bonfire kind of casting a great light behind you, and everybody immediately becomes captivated by the tales that you are telling. So much so that even some of those that have been tasked with keeping an eye over the tent, the encampment, they they have started to come closer. Everyone's pulled up benches, sitting on chairs, doing everything that they can to get close. They see you. Not only are you telling this story, but you're enacting it, almost as if you're painting a picture in their mind of the battles and the elven heroes of old. And they can only see of you at this moment what is Gil-galad, Fëanor of old, all of the fallen heroes of ages past, and even those that are still alive today. And they are captivated in every single way by what you are doing.
Mhm. This is your moment, in case you didn't get it.
Yeah. The moment this starts happening, Theodoric is going to look at, what was his name?
Farron.
Farron the Trapper.
Mm-hmm.
And can I see if is he into this? Is he
Make
paying
a
attention?
Perception check for me.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. 11.
11. He is paying attention to this, and for brief moments, he is drawn in by the charisma of Fëanor as he is regaling everyone with his tales. There are a few moments to be able to go, but you're going to have to be quick, and you're going to have to be quiet about it.
Okay. Theodoric is going to turn to Oderic, be like, I think this is our opportunity. Time to go. And he's going to... Theodoric is going to quickly just kind of put his mug down and grab Oderic and just start shuffling off towards the general direction we came in from, and to the general direction of where I know I sent Broderick and Burgundy off to.
You're going to have 3 stealth checks to make before you're out of the clear. The first one is going to be to avoid the detection of the general group around. The second one is going to be made to basically be out of the sight of Farron. And the third one is to get away from the camp safely. The first one is going to be made at advantage. The second one's going to be made normally. And the third one's going to be made normally. So let's go ahead and start with the first one.
Okay.
16.
16. As the two of you sneak off kind of into the outskirts of some of the more residential areas of the tent encampment, you're able to do so without catching any eye. In fact, most of the guards that were standing behind you have started to migrate up towards the tables, leaving the two of you at the back. And so the two of you were able to sneak off and get into the encampment without any sight, and very confidently without being seen by everyone. The second part is you have to sneak around or past the part where Farron is towards basically the easternly exit of the forest.
Okay. Which way looks like it would give me a better opportunity?
So based on where you were standing, the two of you were able to make your way north into the encampment. So where Oderic was staying with Farron, that was in the south. You've made your way into kind of the north part of the encampment, a few tents in. You're gonna have to be quick with your decisions as far as you're making, because he will be noticed that he will be missing in due time.
Okay. I'm going to try to go around the outskirt.
Okay, cool. As you do so trying to be quietly and stealthy, out of the eyesight of Farron. You can see Farron every now and then. He breaks his eyesight and he looks around, but he doesn't seem too concerned. But he does look every now and then over his shoulders as if he is listening, or maybe in some cases smelling. I'm going to have you make a stealth check for me.
Okay. This one was at just flat, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Just a flat stealth check.
18.
Fortunately, you're able to evade his gaze, and Fëanor, he continues to capture everybody's attention, so much so that eventually Farron is able to be completely drawn in by the tail. And with that, you make your way out into the grasslands that are outside. And you can hear very much the same thing that Jess did. Is as soon as you leave, the voices are muted, but it's quite obvious that there is a large group of men and giant fires going on inside. And you can actually hear bits of Fëanor's tail as you do depart. I'm going to have you make one more stealth check for me.
Just a flat roll?
Just a flat roll.
That's a 20.
As you escape into the grass, you see that it's been some time to be able to really feel like you can catch your breath. Suddenly, this air of kind of almost heaviness is lifted from your shoulders. As you look at Oderic, you can see that he is trembling, but he seems to be in complete trust of where you're going and each step that you are taking. And with that, you're able to escape northward up the path that Jess probably, I would say, no more than an hour ago departed upwards.
Okay, could I have a split second? Sorry, I need
Yes.
to sort this out.
Absolutely. And while you do so, Feanor, you see out of the corner of your eye Theodric dart into the northern part of the tent encampment, and you eventually do lose him. Him and Oderic have become stealthy enough through this area that you have completely lost sight of them. And as you continue to tell the story, everybody is fixated on you. And this lasts for however long you want it to last. What are you doing in this moment, Feanor?
I'm gonna finish telling this tale. I've done this. Theodric and Oderic have left, so Feanor's going to hop down. He's gonna take a drink from someone, and he's gonna and have the merriment of have it everyone having a good time, and then Feanor's going to mime having a drink, then hand his cup off to someone, and then he's going to be like, sweet, I'm going to go collect my stuff, or most of it's on me, and I'm actually going to say, I must now bid you all adieu. I must begin heading off. Your lord, as he said before, I would be departing tonight. You've all made this a lovely experience. I wish you all the well in your endeavors.
A couple of them shout out kind of joking boos. Oh, come on, there's got to be more stories to tell. A couple of them say to you oh, you telling me that you're going to miss the action? Come on, we're going to make your story seem like the stuff of children's tales. And as a couple of them, they seem quite merry, but none of them seem too concerned with the fact that you are slipping away from the encampment.
I am not going to head off in the direct direction of where we came in. I am going to collect my things and make it very clear that I am heading off more in an eastern direction, more towards the river rather than south to where Theodric is.
Mm-hmm.
And waving to, if I see any guards, be like, oh, gentlemen, just on my way. Have a good night. The party's in full swing. Wouldn't want to be you guys just out here on guard, on patrol. And just being jovial with them and making it quite clear. I whistle, Nim approaches, and I hop up on Nim and I just head off.
And you depart into the night, and it is not long before you eventually do catch up with Oderic and Theodric making their way northward. And with that, the three of you reconvene. In the quiet, in the dark, the night has really, truly just begun.
Okay, hey Feanor, glad to see that your skills in oration got us out of trouble for once.
Yes, I'm no bard, but I guess it helps that there were such interesting tales.
And to think, Valeneth would have been so proud of that. Performance for the ages.
You realize that I was raised as a noble, right?
I'm a lord. I kind of forget because no sleeves.
Just because I didn't,
the rest of
because I didn't pay attention in most of those classes, doesn't mean I didn't think about the cool fight scenes.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how mad do you think Jessamine's distraction's going to make?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to. See. Jess isn't here with them at the moment, is it?
Not yet.
No. Not yet.
Yeah. Well, I guess when we find Jess, we'll have to ask what it actually was. Derek, lad, how are you?
He's shaking, visibly shaking, and he says, I can't believe I'm doing this. And he squats down on the ground, and he holds his head in his hand, and he just scratches his brow a little bit, and he says, I literally just met you, and here I am trusting you. Have I learned nothing? You can see that there's a little bit of doubt that's beginning to build up in him. And he says, and he continues, and he says, Jess told me that you met Brunhild.
Yes.
Yes, yes. He was quite nice.
She
Quite upset
seemed-
and sad a little bit, to be honest. But
She seemed hollow.
I have been offered a choice. Jess was quite clear with me. And before we do meet up with her, I want to know both of your thoughts. What is it that you think that I did? And what are your plans with me? What are your plans with Brunhild?
well, until we came across Voltaire and his merry band, the plan was generally, I don't know, find you, get the full story out of you of what happened to, what was it, Odo and Maravich.
And as
Um,
you say Maravich, he says the same name, like kind of reflecting. He says Maravich as well.
Yes, yes, because like, admittedly, like from what we could tell, because we came across the bodies specific, like a little bit after you fled, we know you didn't kill them. So as far as we're concerned, you're not a murderer.
And we did not know of your crime when we set out.
Correct.
That was part of why we left, and it just so happens that when we came to Stonyford, we asked around for if anyone had seen you. We had been following you. We weren't sure what kind of criminal, if you even were one. But when we made it to Stonyford, I was able to gather that while you may not have had particular love of the town or Brunhild's husband, you
Rathig.
cared about your Rathig. You cared about your family, and you cared about Brunhild.
That said,
Brunhild told Jess that it was her who plunged the knife into Rathvik.
He immediately turns his head around, and there's this angry expression that is on his face, and he's like, "What is she doing? She is not the one who did it. It is me."
Believe
He
me.
looks down at his
Believe
hands
me,
and he says,
yeah.
"I am a murderer. Brunhild is not a murderer."
yes, and generally that would be a sticking point. But with 250 bloodthirsty men back there and the
Yes.
leading them, I think that it's more important that we get back to Stonyford, evacuate it, and warn Bayorn that there is an army coming.
What makes you think that I'll be welcome back there?
Well, I
Well,
think having 250 bloodthirsty men on their way kind of puts a lot of things off to the
you'll
side until that's
you'll
sorted.
you'll be a hero. Someone with honor and dignity who saved the lives of everyone in Stonyford and brought news of a host of men approaching for war. We have met you, we have had our journey. Our plan was to take you and Brunhild to the Kirk, not so that you could be executed, so that an explanation could be given and so that we could vouch on Brunhild's and potentially your behalves. What you did in there, sparing that man, shows me that you're not just a bloodthirsty murderer. I do not think that you should be entirely forgiven for what offences you may have caused. If you killed Rathvik, then I will take you at your word for that you killed Rathvik. But we wanted the truth, and we wanted justice.
He nods and he says, "Justice. I've lived my entire life seeking justice for those who have hurt me and for those who have been close to me. But every time I do, I only seem to hurt the people that are around me. When I found Voltaire, when I found his group, it was the first time in my life that I had ever felt truly welcome. There are a number of good men back there, men that have done so much for their homes, their communities, and for whatever reason or the other have left. Many of them have families, have wives and children. They all believe in what Voltaire and what his mission is, and I would be lying if I said that I didn't believe in what he has to say as well, but What's most
believe
important
me,
to me right now
yeah.
is the safety of Brunhild.
And that's the rub, see, because I'll admit, Voltaire had me going too when he pulled me aside and talked. Like, he said things that I longed to hear, made offers that
Yes.
I almost couldn't resist. But at the same time, like, and yes, I understand he's got men under his command that, you know, have families, and I'm sure they are good men. But they're also planning on killing good men and causing so much
Innocent.
chaos for innocent people. And unfortunately, no matter how good your intentions are, when you plan a war against people who haven't done anything wrong, well, those
The
good
correct
men don't really, they aren't really good
Hmm.
men anymore.
the correct path, I believe. I don't believe that Voltaire's claim may be fruitless. I believe that there may be some merit to it. You know, I am not fully accustomed in the way of men, but if what Voltaire says is true, then he may have a rightful claim to a throne. But it is not up to a single person. It is up to the right of historians and those who keep track of lineages to delegate who may be the new ruler. If he had a grievance, approaching Dale in a peaceful manner would win him over with the people. They love Bard because he killed the dragon, yes. But a rightful king has the right to potentially claim a throne. But this is an important thing because Voltaire also had very honeyed words and promises, said things and knew of things that he shouldn't have. Oh, Derek, did you know that he had an item of great shadow with him? The
What do you
sack
mean?
on his waist. Have you ever seen him without it?
He shakes his head no.
Theodric, he has been using what seems to be an artifact, the mummified head of perhaps some great wizard or practitioner of magics to glean into the future, to see your and my path. That's why he wanted to talk to us. That's how he knew. He knew about Jalen. He knew about Jess.
Huh.
He knew of our journeys, what we had done, and he saw what we were capable of. And he wanted us. He said that we were influential, that we could help change things in Middle Earth, that we had a path there for real change.
Yes, he did offer me to the position of his second in command, commander of his armies, blah 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 blah. But decapitated head in a sack, huh?
Yes,
Yeah,
he seems to
right.
be perhaps in the same way that Magellan was once a good man. I
Was he
think
though?
that if Corinthiel can be believed, which, yes, I do believe her wholeheartedly, he was once a noble, kind man. He wasn't not particularly young. He'd lived for a very long time, gathered much strength, much power, many accolades, but he fell to the shadow of what had consumed Mirkwood. Derek, I think that he may be a good man, but he is using dark magics to manipulate. Has he ever said something to you that felt like it just touched deep in your soul, more so than any other person had
This whole
connected
time
with
we
you?
have been walking
Yes.
towards
Yes,
the
yeah.
meeting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Has he ever
I just
said
wanted to
things to you,
specify.
spoke things that he couldn't know, but that reached you?
Every word that has come from Voltaire's mouth gave me comfort. Everything that he says, every smile, every promise that he made, I believed him. I don't know anything about magic. I don't even know much about the shadows of this world outside of what people alone can do, but I do know that if you have a head in a sack, that can't be a good thing.
No.
Thank you. That's my point. See, when he started talking about keeping Bayon's head on his, like, hanging from his belt, that's the thing that tipped me off that maybe this isn't a guy that I really want to follow.
And with the rumors that Bayon can change shape, would imply that very much so that he is magical himself. Perhaps this would offer Voltaire another strength
And as you
another
are having this
artifact.
conversation, you stumble upon what look to be 3 creatures, all sleeping very peacefully. In the tall grass, you see just the top of Baradorok's head, and as Theodric approaches, you can see ears twitching, and immediately, like, a head goes in a little bit of a whinnying as he gets up and he greets. In turn, this is enough to shake Burgundy awake, and I'm assuming shake the very sleepy Jess awake as well, as you see 3 people approaching, one of which on a deer. Well, can't hear ya if you're talking.
Still can't hear you.
Jess has gone mute.
She's very sleepy. We've
No.
still got nothing. Have you muted yourself in the app?
Jess died in their sleep.
She's in the dream world.
Okay,
She'll be right back.
She'll be right back.
Yeah. I throw a stone.
No, how dare
I
you?
throw a rock at
Does that work? I refreshed the page.
Yes,
There you go, yeah,
yes,
that's
we
better.
can hear you now.
I
We
did
can't see
press-
you, but we can hear
Well,
you.
that's because this is just loading.
Okay.
Hang on.
There we go.
That works. Sure.
The last thing you hear, as your eyes are waking up, is something about a severed head. As you wake up and you see these 3 approaching.
I'm awake. I wasn't sleeping.
Clearly.
Just
What?
a mine. It's good to see you again.
Oh,
Actually,
thank
we have
goodness.
a very important question.
yeah.
We never got your signal in camp. What was it supposed to be?
I mean, I set a bunch of fuses and then I just got out of there.
Did you light them?
Yeah. I mean, I think I did.
Okay.
I'm second guessing
So,
myself now. Look at this sword I found.
oh,
Wait. Oh, Derek, you're here. That's
Oh, hi, Jess.
great. Hi.
Hi.
yes, he's agreed to come with us
Okay.
as long as we don't involve was it Brunhild?
Yes.
We told him
Brunhild.
what our intentions were, and Derek,
Wait,
I
what
hope-
are our intentions? Because I haven't discussed it. You know what? Not the time, not the place. Glad to have you on board, Derek. I'm not gonna lie, that I wasn't convinced that you would actually go through with it.
It was a last-minute decision. It did have a lot to do with the food for thought that you had given me. I've run my entire life, and it's never brought me anywhere. I need to do something different. What your company have offered me is something very different than what I've done in the past.
Well, so, wait, you said fuses?
Yeah. I lit trails to open liquor barrels. They should really guard their camp better. Can I say?
we
We
may
should-
need to pick up the pace.
Yes, definitely. They won't last
Yeah.
forever.
Let's stop hanging around and leave. Yeah, let's leave.
Yeah, Theodric is going to quickly mount Baradorok.
And as you depart into the night, it is about the rest of the evening's worth of a journey, and mounted to get to the Anduin, at least the part of Stonyford where you crossed originally. And it will be dawn by the time that happens, and by the time you get there, you don't have to make any checks as you are making your way forward. However, I'm going to have all of you make Constitution saving throws, with the exception of Jess. Jess was able to get a little bit of sleep, a little bit of rest.
Yes.
Everyone else is
That's
doing
actually fun.
Constitution saving throws as you make your way, and it's at advantage because you have like steeds
We're
that
on
you're riding.
horses.
But
Yeah, a 16.
16.
13.
Does Derek have to make one as well?
He does. Hey, thanks for the reminder. Let me pull up my.
I am an equal opportunist rules lawyer. Yes.
I like it. And he gets a 17. Yeah, he's doing good. The maybe it's the adrenaline of the day and everything that is happening.
Oh, definitely.
But you got neither of you gain any points of exhaustion as you make your way to the banks of the Anduin, and you can see off in the distance the faint glow from some of the windows, of very few windows of Stonyford. It's very peaceful. You do not see Brunhild out on the docks, but you do see that just barely the sun has begun to creep out. I'm going to have the three of you make perception checks for me.
Oh no, that's 2.
Hee
22.
17.
Just sometime about 2 hours ago, you could have sworn that there was a small rumbling beneath your feet. And Feanor, with your elven hearing, you could hear far off into the distance the sound of shouts and the shouts and screams. And you felt
Oh.
this as well. And you can now feel as you dismount Nim at the banks of the Anduin, you can feel more than 100 feet making their way eastward. Off in the distance, still far, far off in the distance.
Okay.
But they are in pursuit.
Can we see the ferryman guy?
Yes, and so it's he's not technically out, but you know where his building is. It's right off of the, like, his house is right off the docks that are right there.
Yeah.
As we approach, I will say to Oderic, I'm like, I think for the safety of everyone here, to keep everyone calm in this town, obviously they view you as a criminal. I'm going to ask if I may tie your hands while we go through the town.
He hesitates as he looks each of you in the eyes. I'm gonna have the three of you make persuasion checks for me. It's gonna be a
All
group.
three of us?
It's gonna be a group check.
Okay.
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 See, can I just be honest though? Theodric isn't down for that.
All right.
Theodric's like speed is of the essence. I don't care if the people of Stonyford are comfortable. They can either stay here and die, or they can listen to us and live. Like, that's how it is. I'm not willing to throw my life away if they're going to be stubborn. Oderic's here. He's trying to do the right thing. I'm not going to make this harder on him than it already is.
I guess Jess. All right, Jess, what's your opinion on it?
I was thinking an entirely different approach, to be honest.
What were your thoughts?
I was going to sneak in Oderic, and we were going to visit Brunhild stealthily and try and get her out.
And just leave everyone else to die?
No, but that's you two's job.
Oderic.
I'm not saying it was a good idea, okay? That's just what I had in my hand. It's been a long day, okay?
Oderic, will you help us get these people out of town? We need you to be the one to get Brunhild and your father out of town. This is the right thing to be doing. Do it for those that you care about. It just so happens to help the others in town.
You can see that he is visibly shaking as he looks at the town that is out in front of him, trembling. Actually,
I'm actually just gonna reach out and take his hand. Hey.
Yeah.
We're here
and
with
as
you.
he does so,
Yeah.
Jess, you begin to shake violently with his trembles.
Yeah.
As he's just.
Feanor will even say, Voltaire wanted to take this town as a stronghold. This way the town will be empty, no one has to die, and he gets his stronghold. Your lord still gets what he wants. You aren't actively betraying him, you're just saving the lives of those that were around you when you grew up, giving them an opportunity to make their way to other lands.
He sits down on the ground as he did previously, and he begins to kind of rock a little bit. His hand is still in yours, and he hasn't tried to remove it, Jess. But he begins to rock, and he just says, "I can't do this.
Okay.
I'm not strong
Has
enough.
Feanor told us that he can feel all the feet of all the people coming?
I haven't heard
Yeah,
that.
I guess. Fair enough. Look, it seems like Jess's surprise did rouse the army.
Oh dear.
By my estimation, probably 100 men are already making their way towards Stonyford.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. We officially don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Derek, and I'm gonna like grab his other hands and force him to like look into my eyes.
He does so. You can see tears
While this
are
is happening,
streaming.
Theodric is doing his best to flag down the ferryman.
You
like-
don't have to say or do anything. All right. Whatever they say, whatever they do, look at me. I will not let them hurt you.
And you get a chance to see Brunhild again.
He looks at the three of you, and for a moment, he sees Theodric waving down, and eventually you do see a head pop out the window. It's like, who's that over there? Hey!
Hurry up! We're all gonna die if you don't.
All right. Just hold your horses. And as he's putting on some boots. I gotta transfer them over one at a time. It's just me, my lonely self, as he puts on his boots and everything. But as that whole stuff is going down, he looks up and
I'm trying to talk him down from a panic attack. And tonight I'm gonna make you and the entire town the best fish stew you have ever had.
Probably not tonight, because we're probably going to be on the run for the next couple of days, but yes.
Whatever.
He takes a gulp as he looks at each of you, and he says, I know.
You don't have to say anything to them. You don't have to do anything. You can just come with us.
And he
You know I'm good at
slowly
talking.
stands back up, and he says, I know. For Brunhild. And for Brunhild. And without like much hesitation, he looks up, and he looks out and he says, Oi, Roland! Get those boats over here quick. We're in trouble. And then as he says that, his voice just like cracks and then shakes again as he just kind of like cowers. And he's just like,
Okay.
Roland on the other side, he's like, Oh, Derek. It's you, Oh, Derek. Oh, Derek! As he is very confused
Derek,
by the whole
where's your-
situation.
Wait, Derek, where's your boat? Can we take that over?
Oh, he looks up.
Yeah, because we
a little
found
bit.
it in a way.
Mhm. He looks
Yeah.
up. He looks upstream, and you can see that his boat is there, completely undisturbed.
If you want, if you want, you and Oderic can cross, and Theodric and I can take the animals.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The chicken, the fox, and the bag of beans. Got it.
Yep. Just make sure that the people in town understand the dire circumstances that we're in.
No,
and
I
that,
know.
And
I
that we are dealing with Oderic. No offense.
No, it's fine. We sort of are. This is a weird circumstance, but it's fine.
Everything that you're doing here only serves to show how only serves to improve how we could view you.
This
Do
whole
well.
exchange takes not very long, probably an hour maximum, going back and forth. Because again, you need to. He's bringing one raft over, taking you back, coming back with one of you to get another raft to get the animals. But this actually doesn't take Jess and Oderic much time at all. In fact, Oderic basically single-handedly flips over the boat, puts it steadies it on the river, helps you in, Jess, and takes one of the oars, and by himself he's you are speeding across the water, landing basically on the same line that you were able to on the shores of Stonyford, as he helps you out of the boat and unpacks you. It's still again early enough where only a few people have awoken at this point. And
Awesome. I'm gonna yell back to Feanor and Theodric. I'm gonna go to the leader's hunt. Follow when you can. And I'm gonna like physically grab Oderic's hand and drag him, if I have to.
All right, and you do so. And during this, the rest of this kind of hour of
I just book
going
it.
back and forth, Jess, you and Oderic make your way over to the leader's hut, which, if you remember, so we can go ahead and pull up the map of Stonyford
I
here.
really
He's
don't
here.
have my notes on me, so I forget
Yes.
their names.
Yes, and so the
like
the
Wolf
leader
Heart or
here is a guy by the name of Heartwolf, but his daughter
Heartwolf,
is
yeah.
Ava.
Ava, yeah.
Mhm.
Got it. Ava or Ava?
Ava with a V.
Ava. Okay, perfect. All right, I like run up, dragging Oderic with me, and like before, I'm not giving him a chance to think about this at all. I'm just like pounding on the door, going, Ava, Wolfheart, this is an emergency. We need you here right now.
You hear immediately a old man shriek, "Ah, the pale light!" And you hear the voice of Ava say, "Hey, father, calm down. Calm down." You hear some shuffling around as she comes to the door. She has what looks to be a robe on, and she opens the door and sees both you and Oderic. And she takes 2 steps back and she's like, "Why did you bring
Okay.
him back here?"
Ava, I know this is a large situation for you, and I know this is scary for you, but we have bigger problems, okay? There's about 100 armed people coming here wanting to take this town. Can we evacuate everyone?
What are you talking about? Who would want to take Stonyford?
Oh, Lord Voltaire, he thinks he wants to be king. He doesn't, but he thinks he wants to be. He's declared war on Bayonne. We saw an army, a war camp with 250 soldiers.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Oof, that was not good. 11.
11. She says, "I'm assuming you
I
found him
wouldn't-
with a lot of criminals."
That is not your concern. I am responsible for him. We will take him to Beyond and he will seek justice that way. He is not the issue now. The issue is that your people are in danger and they cannot stay here.
Okay. Father. And
Spread the word.
She turns back and she says, Father, you need to get up. We're going on an adventure. We're going on a journey." And you can see Heartwolf in the back. He has basically got his feet over from the side of the bed, and he's just standing up, reaching for his cane. And he looks to you, and he locks eyes with Oderic. I'm going to have you make an insight check for me.
Ooh, fun. It's better than last time. Yike, that's only a 5.
You see that there is a small flicker in his eyes, a flicker of recognition, but nothing more.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
and
I got
Oderic
more important things to think about.
Oderic nods as he kind of retreats a couple of steps back, and the door closes, and Ava says, "Give me just but a moment. I need to get my father ready." And she does so, and it takes probably 5 minutes before she and Heartwolf eventually do make their way out, and they say,
That's
There's
okay.
an army.
I'm not even waiting for them. I am like telling Ava that I'm going to the watchtower to alert more people.
Perfect. You make your way over
and I'll
to
head
the
off
watchtower, and the person that is currently on watch now is Wilfred.
Yes,
he has the
that's what I know.
he has the morning watch, and he's there. So there's a couple watchtowers. So there's one here at the main gate, and then there's the one that you were staying in the night that you were here. Which one?
Okay, perfect. Which one's closer?
Technically, the one at the front gate is right there. So you could just like run over. Yeah. So this is the one that he's actually watching. A different person's watching this tower.
Yeah. So I'll go to the person that I know. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll
Wilfred,
call out to it.
he says,
Wilfred!
"Oi, Jess, welcome back." And then he looks and he sees O'Derek, and he's just like, "Welcome, both of you."
Okay, I know this is confusing, but there is an emergency. I need the watchmen assembled here. Can you do that? Is there an emergency sound system? Like,
A bell or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like
in this
a
tower, there's
warning bell?
actually like a bell. He's like, it's kind of early in the morning, don't you think?
This is. Did you not hear me say that this was an emergency?
Is this okay with Ava?
Yes.
Okay, and he goes over and he begins to
Ring the
sound
bell, Jess. You know you want
Yes,
to.
yeah. If I can reach the bell, I notice that he's like doing it, and I'm like, oh, for crying out loud! If you want something done, and I just go to town.
Yeah, if you climb up the ladder as he's just kind of timidly doing it a little bit. And
Yeah.
he's like, watch.
Have you never run a bell in your entire life? Give me that. I just.
And he covers his ear as he like climbs down out of the tower. He's just like, okay. And he looks at O'Derek, and O'Derek stands probably like a full head taller than him. And he goes, hi, O'Derek. And O'Derek kind of just like looks at him, and he's just like, hi, Wilfred. And he turns around and he looks, and as this bell is ringing, Feanor and you can see Feanor and Theodric off in the distance. They have made their first trip back and are going out across the river to get the basically the mounts and everything back across. And so while that is happening, it's probably going to take another 10-ish minutes. While that's happening, you hear Wilfred. He goes, excuse me. Town watch, to the front gate, please. And about after that 10 minutes, 3 people come and join. Of the 6 guards that are on basically in town, 3, including Wilfred, are there gathered.
Okay, lovely, perfect. Has Ava and her father arrived yet?
Yep, they're out, and they slowly make their way over to the front gate.
Perfect. Okay, I briefed Ava very briefly about the situation. Basically, well, me and my companions were looking for him. We came across a war camp of about 250 people, and our elf seemed to recognize about 100 people marching this way. So, in the interest of the safety of the town, we feel that it's best to evacuate and get you guys safe to Beorn's land.
You from like Wilfred and the other guards, you kind of hear a lot of the same as like, what would they want with Stonyford? And then immediately Ava, she jumps in and she says, "This is an order. We need to gather everybody that is here, and we need to move north."
Yep.
If what Jess is saying is true, there's no way we can defend ourselves, even against these newly repaired walls that we have. There is no way we can hold against 100 men. It's just a matter of time, especially if they're already on the march.
Gather all the children, get every wagon and horse that you can, get food, basic necessities, camping gear, cutlery, plates, obviously, any cooking saucepans or condiments that you need. Get it.
With that, O'Derek, he just kind of follows you around, Jess, as you're doing stuff.
Yeah,
And he very clearly is like not looking people in the eyes, and as you're going around and having people gather up, Feanor and Theodric, the 2 of you with the mounts, all come into Stonyford and in town as kind of this people are starting to run around and this commotion has begun to happen. With that being the case, what are you doing in this moment? Word has spread already that everyone's packing up, and everybody is packing up. So how are you helping in the endeavor, I guess, is my question.
Theodric's just helping people load stuff on. Do they have carts, or are they like?
There's some carts. It's a largely kind of agricultural society. So there's some mules. There's some older horses and whatnot. And yeah, there's definitely some people there, and you can tell that they're starting to load as much as they can into these carts.
Okay.
And
Theodric
help with
is
that
going to be. Theodric's going to be helping connect the mules and horses to the carts, and he's going to be helping loading. Like he's just working on transportation and getting it all set up for everyone.
Feanor, what are you doing in this moment?
Fëanor would start. Okay, based on the sounds that I could hear of the encroaching camp, encroaching soldiers, how far away? Like, how long would it take to get to where we are on foot?
So on foot, it was about a day's travel. And as mentioned, you heard the boom, about an hour away from Stonyford, and so you could basically get everyone out of here and going, safely in order to get some kind of decent lead. If you got them by midday, you would have about a half a day lead on whoever is marching for a day maximum. But you also have to realize that normal people aren't used to like marching speeds and moving quick.
No, yeah, no, definitely. Fëanor is going to do what he can, instructing people on the kinds of things to take with them. Like he'd be like showing people like, take a blanket here, wrap your provisions in it like this. Like just quickly showing them how to make like makeshift packs. So like very rough, but like you've got your essentials. Make sure you grab canteens of water, things like that. And anyone that has like gotten their stuff together, Fëanor's basically getting them to all gather all their food in the center of town, because he's going to burn it. Anything that they cannot take with them, they're not leaving to be recovered by these people. Like he's making it clear that you may be able to return here one day, but assume that you won't. So any of your like the most sentimental things that you have, bring, but leave your quality of life things. We know people who can help you. Like Fëanor's name dropping, like Ngulma, the guy who runs who's the leader of all the woodmen. It's like, do not worry. You just need to survive. We can make sure that you get the life that you need after this. And once people are doing that and food's being gathered in town, are there any drums in town?
Yeah, every now and then there's
Like-
some musical
like-
drums.
Yeah.
That people have no war drums or anything, but there's definitely
No,
some
no,
musical
no.
drums.
Fëanor wants to, using his woodwright abilities, create kind of basically a long piece of wood that has like a paddle on one end, and on the other end he's wrapped like a sack of flour with like leather, and he's going to have that on a pivot, and the end of it is going to be in the water. So as the water on the river pushes past, it's going to repeatedly strike these drums like a war drum.
Okay.
In the hope that when these people are approaching, presumably early morning, perhaps in the night, they will be concerned. They will be worried that these people are prepared for them. These are warriors that are now prepared for them. Like, hopefully anything he can do, even if it's delaying 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Going around setting up all the torches that he can on the walls. And
Moving any scarecrows you have to the coastline.
Yes, stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be epic. Yeah. And then like all of the hunting traps as well. You just lay them out.
Well, Fëanor's already booby trapped
booby-trapped,
the forest and stuff, but more or less, I spend a little bit of time instructing people, but then as the majority of the work's being done, I am preparing this place to seem like it is prepared for a siege.
Okay.
Hoping that those preventative measures of, we're really angry, we were chasing two guys, are we prepared to fight this entire town unprepared days earlier? They've warned the town now. Let's approach this more strategically. But then when they get in, the well's like been broken, the food's been burnt, like really leaving this as like a husk of what it is.
Right.
That's his real focus here. He doesn't want to strengthen these people, because if they take it as a stronghold, they're now in a crippled state, more or less.
For sure. Jess, with Oderic, what are you doing in the moment to help them prepare?
Yeah, I think to start with, I'd be directing traffic. So like, okay, food goes over there. Oh, sentimental things, just pop that in this wagon, stuff like that. And then I think, as like the day goes on, I think Ava would take over a large portion of that.
For sure.
Then she's just like has this moment where she's standing there with like Oderic and probably like I forgot his name already, Heartwolf, the guy.
Heartwolf.
Yeah, one of the others. So it's like, okay. And then she'll turn to Oderic and it's like, Are you ready for a family reunion?
He looks at you, and he nods, but then begins to shake again. Not as violently as he was before, but he begins to shake. He says, "It's now or never."
Perfect. Brunhild or your father first?
Brunhild.
And I will take him to Brunhild if I can find where she is.
Brunhild's house is still largely abandoned. However, around that general area, so we'll go ahead and move you up here.
Yep.
So we'll say, Theodric, you're helping over here with the carts. Feanor, you're in the center of town helping with all that. And so you take Oderic up to where Brunhild's house was. And the door is still open, ajar, almost as if nobody has been inside. But as you look around, you can see that the door to Heartwolf, I believe, Helmgut's house is open. And there is rustling going from inside.
Okay, I'll peek in, going like, knock knock. Hello.
You haven't seen the side of Brunhild. She seems to be just in an absolute hurry, a rush, as if she is trying to just get the heck out of here, helping Helmgut pack everything up. And Helmgut, he actually notices you first and says, "Hi, are you the one who comes bearing the grave news?"
Yes, as well as someone else you may recognize. And I'll just like yank Oderic's hand so he doesn't like chicken out on me.
And he stumbles into view in the doorway, and literally Helmgut drops what he is carrying, and he's just like, "Oderic?" And with that word, turning with her back turned to you, packing what looks to be some kind of like luggage crate, you see that Brunhild just is frozen. You look between the two of them. I'm going to have you make an insight check for me, Jess.
Okay. Will they kill each other? Here's the question. Oh, 16.
It is a state of shock. The general look on Helmgut's face is one of surprise, but you can see that his eyes are beginning to well up in tears of joy. And Oderic, he stops and he makes his way over into the room and he says, "I'm home." And he grabs the shoulders of gently. He grabs the shoulders of Brunhild, and he pulls her in for like a hug, like in the back, and he says, "I'm sorry, I'm never gonna leave again." And he looks to Helmgut, and Helmgut comes over and he puts his hand on his shoulder and he says, "I knew you're still out there. Man, are you stupid." And he pulls him in for a hug too. And so you just have kind of like this picture of like the three of them kind of embracing. And Brunhild, she eventually turns around and she says, "I thought I'd never see you again, Oderic." And she is weeping. Oderic is crying, not quite weeping as much, and he said, "Apparently I don't know what's good for me or good for both of us, but we need to leave here. There is an army that is marching for Stonyford. We need to make our way north to the protection of Beorn." And you can see that there's a little bit of hesitation in Brunhild's face. And Oderic says, "I know what this means. I know. I promise you, no harm will come to you. This is what's right. These people, Jess, Feanor, Theodric, they've helped me a lot. They've helped open my eyes. While I might not have the best relationship to, well, let's say with anybody in this town, they've done nothing wrong. If I can help it, I would like to see the people that are left here spared. Most importantly, the both of you. He looks at Helmgut and he says, Father, thank you. No matter what comes of this, I just want you to know, that day, the worst day of my life. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you. And with that, he begins to busy himself, almost as if he knows exactly where everything is, opening cupboards and whatnot, and helping pack the crate. Just kind of staring, and Brunhild's just kind of slowly doing stuff, but like staring at Oderic in like every move. And then she eventually shakes herself out of it and begins packing things up as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I think Jess will like try and help, particularly with the children, either like directing or like redirecting energy, or like even entertaining them while like parents are frantically packing up stuff. But I think she'll be pretty distracted by Oderic, and she'll have like an eye on him at all times, because like in the back of her head she's thinking, he could just run away and we might never see him again, and I really don't want that. So she's keeping a close eye.
For sure. So all three... Yes, go ahead.
While that's happening, am I still just helping people pack their carts?
Yes. This does take a little bit of time, as most people are making their way over to the area where there is like the horses and the mules and stuff. And there's about 4 wagons, and so most of the bigger stuff, heavier stuff that people can't carry with them on their backs are being placed in here, such as like barrels of like food and rations and that kind of stuff. Most of the personal artifacts are being kept with the people, and it doesn't take you long before you are able to strap up the carts to the animals and keep them calm, and help lift things in. But is there anything else that you want to do in the process?
How far away is Beorn's home?
So Beorn's home, so let's go back to the map here. So currently where your group is situated is just here. Pretty a little bit further south than that, right here.
I was gonna say we're pretty close to Woodman Hall.
Yeah, pretty close to Woodman Hall. Beorn's house is all the way up here. And so if you remember, you were tracking at a pretty decent clip Oderic making his way south, and you eventually did catch him, but that at a normal pace, not on horses or anything, is probably a solid 3-ish day trip.
Okay.
On horses, you can cut that down to about 2 days.
Okay.
And that's like traveling like 18 hours a day, just barely stopping to sleep.
Yeah. Theodric is going to help people finish packing, and then he's going to look for Feanor and Jess.
Okay. I'm going to have the 3 of you make separate checks for me. Theodric, I'm going to have you make an athletics check. Feanor, I'm going to have you make a survival check. And Jess, I'm going to have you make a perception check.
I was hoping you'd say something I'm good at. Eesh.
I got a 22 on that athletics check.
Okay.
Nice.
I got a dirty 20.
Okay.
I got an 8.
At this
It's
point,
okay. It's good.
At this point, as the 3 of you are helping to prepare this town, to prepare the city to leave, I am going to grant you, for whatever is to come after this, I'm going to grant you 2 preparation dice. These are essentially going to be D10s that you can use for any roll between now and the end of this adventure. So use them sparingly. Once you have used them, then they're gone. But you have these to use for any kind of situations you want. Again, saving throw, skill.
So you
checks,
just get to add that D10 onto
your add
whatever
D10
score.
to whatever the that could even be damage dice as well. And so you can roll damage and then add that too. With that being, was that 2 of them, 2 d10s.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And as you've prepared everybody, you can see that everybody in town is gathered at the center. Most of the wagons and caravans have moved up to the front, and you can see that there stands about 45 people, about 15 of them children. The vast majority of them either look elderly or quite young. There's not a lot of like middle-aged people that are left here. They are ready to depart and ready to leave on Ava's order, essentially.
Okay. How well armed are they? Because I know they've got the 6 guards.
Yep.
Plus Ava.
There's a decent amount of weaponry that have essentially been put into the wagons. From
Just
what
people who can't use them.
Yeah, just from what you remember, there was actually a decent stash of weapons inside Ava's home. Probably enough to outfit probably 25 to 30 guards. Including like swords, bows, daggers, things used to defend.
So they're
town.
good. They're good.
Yeah, some people have like their like farming utensils and whatnot that they're probably more adept at using. But they're ready for the march. Whatever you all decide.
Okay.
It's time.
While Ava's getting everyone to go together and ready, Theodric's going to look for Feanor and Jess and kind of take them aside for a moment.
Yes.
Look, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not much of a leader, and I don't know what I can really do for these people. I think our best bet, I'm gonna grab Baradarok and I'm gonna haul ass to Bayorn to get him ready. Because the sooner he knows, the sooner he can gather his forces to try and come and protect these people, and hopefully we can catch up and escort them somewhere safe, and B, he'll be able to set up defensive lines or something to stop Voltaire.
Maybe even able to send men to meet us halfway.
Exactly. No offense against you and Nim, but Baradarok and I were made for long distances, so I think that's what we're gonna do.
When you get to Bayorn's, see if they can send a word to Woodman Hall.
Yes.
Even Tyrant's Hill.
If I
Tyrant's Hill's perhaps a bit too far away, but
Yeah.
any word that we can send, any people that can be sent here. I know this is a relatively small host of men when it comes to the size of armies, but nothing to be, laughed at. A force of this size can raise towns to the ground and cause endless amounts of havoc for any community.
If I were to stop past Woodland Hall before going to Bayorn, how much extra time would that chuck on to my...
Probably so. If you're like going at like a marching pace, like a forced march, which that's kind of what this sounds like, you could actually get to Bayorn's in about a day and a half with Baradarok's speed, just sprinting there, with a little bit of time to rest. But if you were to detour, because you have to go into Mirkwood, meaning Baradarok can't really do a whole lot, that would probably add about a day and a half to your journey. So it would double your journey just to go
Okay.
So do we send...
Theodric is going...
Theodric's
going to turn to Feanor and just say, look, I'm going to go to Bayorn first and warn him, seeing as he's the primary target. Once he's warned, I'm going to come back this way, hit Woodland Hall and any settlement on the way to warn them, and then I'm going to come back and look for you guys.
My mind is blanking because Jess would know the guy's name, but she would ask you to also warn the guy, the homesteader that helped us on our bedroom.
Yes, I remember. Was it
Gerald or something?
Gerald. Yeah, it was Gerald.
Yeah, that one.
Kyle, we've lost you. I don't know if you're still there.
Nah, that's fine. We can play.
That's fine. We don't need him.
We don't need him.
But keep in mind that someone like Gerald, it's like he's an older man. He's going to probably need to ride in one of the carts. Like, we still warn him.
Oh,
that's
no.
fine.
We've got him back.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to go take a quick bio break. No worries.
But yes,
I agree.
Gerald is on the way, isn't he?
Yes, he was directly on our way here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell him to prepare to
Yeah.
get whatever animals he can.
Yeah.
You know, or like let them loose. Or
He did have a
prepare.
pony of his own, didn't he?
And a cart, if I believe.
Yes.
If I'm remembering.
So I'll get him
Yeah.
to get ready as well.
Yeah.
On my way,
As you're
very briefly.
preparing all this, I'm gonna kind of put some marks on the map here, so you guys can continue some preparation. I just want to make sure that we got all their bases covered. So, is anyone going to Woodman Hall?
You ducked out as I was saying it. I'm going to go to Bayorn's, and once he's warned, then I'm doubling back to go to Woodman Hall and warn them before meeting up with.
Definitely ask Beorn if he has like a faster way, because like
Yeah.
actually
Those folks are mad quick.
This is actually an interesting thing that Feanor will probably mention, which I don't think I've ever mentioned before, is when I was traveling with the Wayward Elves in Caranthiel, she picked up like, I don't know, like a small animal, and she enchanted it and sent it off perhaps to talk to whoever was the owner of the land, aka Beorn. So perhaps Beorn and even one of his hounds may be able to deliver a message faster than you could.
Like Shadrach.
Well,
No,
yes.
that'd be good. Okay, yeah.
Shadrach literally flew down the map.
Well, yeah. I'm obviously going to be asking Bayorn about this stuff. I'm not just going to be
Well,
willy-nilly.
Yeah, no, just
But no.
get him some of the magical, possibly flying dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no. That's
But yes.
definitely I'm gonna I wish you both luck. Stay safe.
We will. Get back soon. I don't want to have
Yes.
to fight off an entire host of men on my own. Where's all the glory for you then?
Well, I'm sure you can find something to burn on the way, like just to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
You can have my share, Feanor. I don't mind.
No, I'm gonna have my own. Plenty to go around, but then Theodric's he's gonna mope because he didn't get to defeat an entire host of men. No, but seriously, be swift.
But be safe.
I will. And with that, Theodric's going to mount Baradarok and start his forced march to Bayorn's house.
All right. So this process, as you're going, I'm going to have you make a survival check. This is just for the general sights that you're seeing on the road. You are booking it, and then because this is going to take a day and a half, I'm only going to have you do one forced march roll. Nothing is slowing you down. It's basically just over one night that you're doing it, and it's going to be at disadvantage because of the speed that you're going on at. And so first survival check.
Okie dokie. That is a 19.
Okay. With that 19, you're able to make very safe paths. If there's anything that's even attempting to hunt you or prey upon you, particularly at night, you're going too fast for them to be able to catch you. These are relatively familiar lands that you have traveled to and from, and so you pretty much are able to stick on the main roads and just push as fast as you can through it. I'm going to have you make a Constitution saving throw at disadvantage now.
Okie dokie.
You got this.
I'm going to use one of those preparation dice.
What did you get?
I got a 5.
So the best case is
A 15.
Yeah. And then the
more than
worst
likely
case.
is about an 11 is the average, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's better
I'm
than
okay
a
with
5. It
I'm
might
okay
not
with
save
that.
you, but it might stop the more detrimental effects.
Yeah.
That's a 7 all up.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it to try.
As you make your way up towards Bayorn's house, you and Baradarok are exhausted. However, you only gain 1 point of exhaustion as opposed to 2 points of exhaustion.
That's good.
And so as basically that 5 and below is 2 points of exhaustion, and natural 1 would be automatically 3 points of exhaustion. And so only 1 point of exhaustion as you make your way to Bayorn's house. So we see Theodric zooming off to the Old Ford and northward. With that being the case, Feanor and Jess, what are you doing in this moment? As far as sticking with the caravan and doing what you can.
Would just feel comfortable leading the people while Feanor trails behind.
Sure, but
Just
I
because
would
you know where we're going, like, and
no,
it's
yeah,
I can rely on you. So
that's fine. Just make sure that you stick like you keep an eye on Derek. That's all I would ask. But yeah, I'm happy to like scout. I'm good at scouting.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to be doing the scouting, you can be slightly behind with the pony. The idea is you trail behind your camp to see, like, you'll be like the warning alarm, basically. They won't have been able to get ahead of us, but at the pace that we're going, they're probably going to meet us like 2/3 of the way. Is that right? About right? About if they do catch up to us, it's going to be about 2/3 of the way or further on the way
Okay.
there. So we just have to push really hard, and we
Yeah.
might stay ahead of them, but
No, I'm okay with yeah, if you want to be
I can be the
in
leader.
the
I
rear
have been.
guard.
We can swap it actually because I've been the
Yeah.
what is it? Not the scout, the person who leads for our journey so far for this
Yeah.
fellowship phase. For this phase,
The navigator. Yeah.
the navigator. Yeah.
You'll
So
just have to like keep Oderic close to you because
yeah,
like yeah,
no, definitely.
just
Um,
yeah. You know what I mean.
yeah,
But yeah, I'll be rear guard then.
Perfect.
sweet. Okay.
And
But
it's
yeah,
not just you alone. So Ava, she mounts her horse. It's a relatively older horse, but she's able to kind of keep the charge, and so she stays up towards the front with you, Feanor. She begins to talk to you about potential plans of where the final destination is, which brings up the question: where is your final destination that you're leading this caravan?
I would be trying to lead them to like towards Bayonne, like I guess closest to like the bridge that crosses the Anduin,
Yeah, the old
because
fort.
from there, yeah, because from there we can either cut through into the Mirkwood if we have to, at least dip into it,
Mhm,
and perhaps then like loop back around to the Woodman,
mhm.
or we can
If you
continue
do
on our way.
remember, there is a large cliff. So the old ford, basically there
Yeah.
is like a giant cliff that separates like lower Wilderland from upper Wilderland, and there is a path that probably extends about 20 feet wide that rises up, and so it would be
Mhm.
a decent place to protect. And I would say that your survival instinct would probably lead you to the point of like if you could make it at least to the old ford before being attacked, and with a group this size, that would be probably about a 2 days journey. Getting
Mhm.
everybody, women, children, and old, up there. If you could get past that point, you're probably doing pretty good.
Actually, the bridge that's been there, that's been manned and stuff that has Beyond's men there,
Mhm.
would Feanor think of that could potentially be something because there's the gates there, right?
Yes.
Um, Potentially holding up there and using the assistance of those Beyond's warriors who are there might be like that's a good stop if we need it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's
Um,
like there's the gates that stretch basically westward, and so you could potentially take the caravan up westward across the bridge, more towards kind of like
mhm.
the high pass. The only thing that you would risk per se is if Voltaire's group splits two ways, either comes both sides of the Anduin and tries to invade from both directions. You would be far less protected if you left the caravan on this side, or if you could just keep everybody on one side, leaving the Anduin between the entirety of the force, essentially.
Mhm.
So just
Okay,
thoughts.
fair enough. Yeah, all things to consider while Feanor's like making plans.
Mhm.
Um, I guess it's just going to be to try and make it to those cliffs um, by the time that Theodric can get back to us.
Mhm.
Essentially,
For sure.
um, Theodric's journey is going to be a really hard one, but it's probably the safest option that we have as like a group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the greatest hope that we have for really getting the correct assistance would be from him. So
For sure.
Feanor's going to trust in Theodric and his abilities to come back, and if need be, Feanor's going to fight a whole army of people and do his best to keep these people safe.
For sure. As you begin to depart and you leave the newly repaired gates of Stonyford, you can see that well, you can see that Helmgut, he looks back almost longingly at his home as it gets abandoned. However, you see that both Oderic and Brunhild look forward, not even looking back at what's happening. And you see they're all riding horses. Brunhild is actually riding on the back of Helmgut's horse, and Oderic is basically mustering his own horse at the moment. And he looks by far the most impressive out of everybody here, including all the guards. The guards are decently equipped, as they have basically with the best of what Stonyford has to offer, but especially with this Beorning cape draping off of his shoulders and back behind him, he looks almost like he could be like a guard of Beorn as he rides alongside the horse of Helmgut and Brunhild. And they're kind of towards the front of the caravan, in front of all of the wagons and whatnot, and 3 of the guards are kind of hanging back towards the side, and 2 of them are at the on either side of it. And so, and then one of them is kind of hanging back a little bit further, closer to you, Jess, as far as that goes. And so, with that being the case, are you ready to make some skill checks as you start to make your way northward? So day 1.
Let's go.
Day 1 of this, I guess I'm asking, are you doing a forced march with everybody?
I would say yes. The potential exhaustion that we get from this, and that the people feel, like, fear drives people, and it's like, as much as they might get tired, stopping for such a long period, especially when this is civilians escaping soldiers, the best method is to just try and push as far as you can. And if we can get to a strategic place like the cliffs, then that in itself offers us a safe haven, at least ever so briefly, from attack.
So what I will say, because you are leading a large group of people, there's going to be a few different DC thresholds. The typical DC threshold for just a normal forced march would be just a DC 10. So you just have to get your Constitution throw above a DC of 10. If you want the entirety of the caravan to not gain exhaustion as well through that, there is actually a higher limit than that. It's not unreachable, unattainable, but there's a higher limit. And I will take the average of both of your rolls to determine what that is.
Fun.
Okay. Yep.
All right, so Constitution saving throws for the both of you. But first, before we do that, Feanor, because you are leading the group and leading the charging, and have you make a survival check. And I'm going to have Jess, you make a perception check for me.
Okay. Can this be an advantage because of the guy helping me?
Sure.
Yay!
I got a 5 on my survival.
Okay.
I got super good. 18.
So one of the biggest problems that you're finding, Feanor, is keeping everybody together. Everyone in the caravan tends to have just the natural instinct to spread out. And so every time that you continue to move forward, you look back and you see that everybody is kind of spreading out gradually as you are moving forward. You can see some of the animals are kind of getting tired, and especially the younger kids are starting to get bored. And so you're spending a good chunk of your time being preoccupied with that. And so let me go ahead and make a roll here. The path itself seems relatively safe, especially with this large group of people making their way northward. But because of Jess, she's able to kind of direct everything from the back. She's making perception checks, particularly keeping an eye on Oderic. And there's a couple of times that Jess actually has to call out to Oderic as he starts to make his way more and more kind of towards the side. Naturally, his horse wants to get out ahead of everything that's going. And he's kind of veering towards like the Anduin side of things. And Jess is definitely keeping him honest by calling everybody to get back into the general formation. With that being the case, I'm going to have the two of you make Constitution saving throws. And these Constitution saving throws are going to be made normally, so no disadvantage or anything like that, just normal Constitution saves.
Okay, I got a 12.
Okay. Oh, we're missing. Here, let's see if I can I hate to do it.
To go into the sheet. Yeah.
Let's see. If she gets back by the time I do this,
God is reaching his hand down to interfere. No.
The puppet master takes control.
Suddenly,
kind of how it feels.
Jess's
It feels a little
eyes
bad.
glaze. Jess's eyes glaze over. Yes, no, I am the same. I'm not a changeling.
Oh, I'm just clicking into the character sheet.
She's back. She can do the roll.
She
Back.
is back.
What do I need
Yes,
to roll?
Constitution saving throw.
Ooh, lovely.
Normal, no disadvantage, advantage, or anything like that. Just normal. 19.
Cool.
You continue to march forward, and again, Jess, you're actually finding it. You're finding some strength inside of you, almost as if, you are keeping watch in the back rear here. As I had mentioned, you're gaining control. You're keeping people in line. As they're naturally starting to stray, and that's given you some confidence. And with that, it's actually given the people confidence on their march ahead. You, for this first day, and the caravan do not gain any points of exhaustion. And so with that being the case, you're able to move up just by the time evening hits to where Geralt's house is. And
perfect.
Just this general area. You do have to stop for a couple of hours, as people do need to eat, and especially the older and younger ones do need to get a little bit of sleep. But you can tell that their spirits are high and they're holding up. But you settle kind of around Geralt's general fort. I'm gonna if you guys want to talk to him, have a quick conversation with him, feel free.
I go up and I knock politely on his door.
You do so, and you hear a as he gets up out of his chair, the chair that you know right by the fire, and you can hear him kind of hobbling over to the door, and he opens it, and he's like, "Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? How long has it been? Just a few days?"
Yeah, a few days. Listen. We found... Oh, this is Oderic, by the way. Do you remember Oderic?
Ah, good to see you, lad.
You know each other?
Of course.
You know how you said we were welcome back anytime?
Of course.
Well, we've kind of brought, and I gestured to the huge caravan of people.
At this point, there's some torches and stuff that have been lit to kind of light the way for them. And as he looks out, he sees this caravan of 45 plus people just out in front, and he's just like, "Did you bring the whole town with you?"
Yes, we did. Turns out there's a war camp marauding these lands, and we fear for your safety. So I guess I'm trying to persuade you to come with us.
No persuasion necessary if you say an army is coming.
Yeah.
It seems
there's
like
this
you've got
crazy
this a
guy
lot under control.
Well, we try. It's been, yeah. There's only our first day of traveling. We're hoping to go further north to seek refuge in Bjorn's lands. So it's been quite the eventful few days, actually.
Jess could probably fill you in on what we've been doing while we travel. If you'll come with us, then...
Give me one moment. I have just a few cheeses that I purchased the other day. I would hate for them to go to waste.
Cheese?
No. Between us, I don't have enough for the entire caravan. This is my secret cheese.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
Here, you can have some, as he rips off a piece, and it's some nice sharp cheddar. And it smells very pungent, and it's nice. But he gives you a little
sure
piece.
This isn't off? It just sounds...
No,
it smells
it's
very
supposed
right.
to smell like that.
Ah, yes. Well, bottoms up.
This is fine vintage. As he gives you all a small cheers, he actually gives a little piece to Oderic too, who takes it and he eats it. It's delicious cheese. Definitely at first a little bit funky, but then the sharpness kind of hits, and then it melts into kind of this nice umami cheesy flavor, and it almost melts in your mouth, and it's just really good. See what I tell you?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, grab the things that you need, your essentials, and of course your cheeses. But
Mm.
then we need to be off. We need to keep pushing forward.
I can only move so quickly. As he goes over, he grabs basically like
That's
a
right.
rucksack, and
I have a spot in the wagon just for you.
well, that's very kind of you. He grabs his axe, his woodcutter's axe, and then a few things, some finer meats and
Mm.
cheese and stuff that he has, and he goes out and some clothes and whatnot, the best that he can, and a couple drawings and some maps that he has made, some things that he does in his free time. He goes out, he grabs and takes his cart and hooks it to his horse, and he joins the group. This takes about 45 minutes, but it's good. It's enough time for everybody to kind of just like take a rest and enjoy. And he says, as he's doing that, he calls on, he's like, tell the rest of them they can take whatever they want from my lands. If there's an army coming, I would hate to see it in the wrong hands.
Of course. Can we put any children and like elderly that might have been traveling on foot, like as many as we can, into the backs of these carts, especially with a fresh horse?
Absolutely.
I can imagine we've been like doing that throughout the day though.
Yeah, and rotating through them and stuff.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
of course. If there's anything about like anything that could be of assistance to us here, we kind of take it. Did he have animals on his land, like sheep or something?
Yeah, he had some chickens. He had a horse, a mule, and that's all that you saw as it was. But it's a pretty young, strapping horse. It's not a super old one. Like this one is meant for like plowing and doing the work. He didn't have much. Kill a chicken.
Yeah.
Put him in salad.
Kill the chicken. Yeah, some fresh meat.
Well, I was gonna release him anyways.
Yeah. I collect whatever eggs that they have there, and let them go. Let them go into the wild. They'll either survive or they won't, but that'll be their own fate.
The chickens.
Yeah.
But we could have fresh meat.
But we've got provision. We have hard tack to eat. That is fine. Everyone can suffice with bad rations.
Can I
stale bread and hard cheese?
Can I make a sleight of hand check to try and like take the chickens without people noticing?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Bring it.
That's gonna be against Feanor's passive perception.
Easy.
The
What's your just passive perception?
Yep,
Yeah.
passive perception.
Just
That's hilarious.
Just come on. We have more than enough. It's just gonna slow you down to kill them and pluck them and stuff. You don't even have any water to boil them and to loosen the feathers. Just leave them be. Look here. You know what? A substitute. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a freshly laid egg and puts it in your hand.
It's still warm. For the audience, I was so confident because I have a +4 to sleight of hand. Then I rolled a natural 1.
So it's like, no. It like just turns her. She's got the chickens upside down. It's like, put them down.
First kill with the new sword.
No, he gets me before I kill them.
You begin to.
Unfortunately, there was squawking.
Yeah, squawking a little too loud. For sure.
Just a bit.
As this new cart is set up and you get everything ready, you've stopped for about an hour and a half at this point before continuing onward into the night. With that being the case, you continue on into the next day. I'm going to have Feanor and Jess, the two of you, make perception checks for me.
Based on the time frame that will have passed, how quickly did we determine that it would take Theodric to get to Beyond's?
About a day and a half.
A day and a half,
so
He's not quite there yet.
Yeah, no, I was just like, Feanor was having that. I hope you're doing well, buddy. I hope you're going to be there soon. I got a 10 for my perception.
I got another natural 1 for a total of 2.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
As you reform the positions, Feanor, you think back. You don't see any signs. Right now, it actually seems almost a little too peaceful. You don't see any signs that an army is chasing, but based off of the pace that they were coming at, you know that they are out, and they are out for blood and for vengeance. But as of now, you don't see any clear signs that they are catching your trail. It seems relatively peaceful as the early morning begins to strike. you continue onwards for the better part of the day. You can tell that the people generally are more organized at this point. Geralt has actually started doing a good job of distracting the children as he rides on top of his steed. He was turning back around and talking to the kids, and you can see them laughing and a little bit of joy in their faces. This seems more like an adventure to them than it does like they're leaving their homes for who knows for however long. You could tell Geralt would have been a great grandpa if he was one. And the things are going well. However, you notice that the food and the rations that you guys are carrying with you doesn't seem to be going as far as you would think. At this point, you've already gone through a decent amount of the food that people have been able to bring. Meaning, if you stretch this to even 4 days of travel, you're gonna probably struggle to be able to feed everybody with the food that you've been able to bring.
I told you should have let me have the chickens.
They would have fed like 2 people.
So?
Look, this is fine. Like, yes, it is difficult. Yes, it is harsh to push them. But Feanor was almost like, much as like when we were in the Mirkwood, and he was thinking about when he led Jalen and Valneth and Theodric through that place, and it was hard. It was difficult, covering so much ground. Like, what was it? It was like 30 days worth of ground in like 10 days or something like that. Like that was harsh, but it was what we needed to do to survive, to stay ahead of those spiders. And his instincts held true then, so he's going to trust them now.
Jess, I'm going to have you make an insight check for me. As you continuously look after Oderic, you can see that he's grown a little bit more comfortable on the journey. However...
7.
You can see that he remains stoic all the same. However, you can tell that he's visibly no longer trembling, almost as if this journey he's prepping to steel himself for whatever his fate is up north. He doesn't seem to be having much conversation with Brunhild, but you can see that Brunhild is constantly looking with worry at Oderic as he stares forward and continuously moves on. People are getting tired too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just like during the rest stops, I'll make it a habit to stop and rest with Brunhild and Oderic, and then I'll just like tell stories about how I wintered at Tyrant's Hill, and like tell about the kinds of people who live there and make their life there. Yeah, mostly to Brunhild, if she lets me go on about it. But like,
for sure,
letting Oderic people like know that there's people out there for him. You know what I mean?
Make a charisma check for me, just a straight charisma.
Oh, fun. Yeah, because like a lot of this will depend on if Brunhild catches on to what I'm doing. Okay. I have decent charisma, but I'm rolling absolute terrible. 4.
4. There is definitely heavy hearts and heavy minds. You've seen that Oderic and Brunhild have not really actually had a conversation while you've been on the road. There's a little bit of strain, so much so that you can see that you can tell that Oderic is like it almost like he suffers when he looks at her. And you can tell that she feels that too. And so while she's trying to be caring and considerate of him, you can tell that like this stoicness is depressing her.
Okay. If this continues, I'm gonna come up with a plan for day 3 to force them into talking to each other.
Perfect. You continue on into the day, and I'm going to have you do another forced march Constitution saving throw. So this is going to be similar. No advantage, no disadvantage. After today, your checks are going to be starting to be made at disadvantage.
Okay. I got a 19.
And I got a 16.
Everybody is in...
Help
you
me.
can tell everyone's getting a little weary, but they're still in decently high spirits. One of the things that really does help with this is there isn't any sign of being followed. Up until now, things seem pretty peaceful. That is until the evening. You can actually everybody probably you sit and you take about a 2-hour rest as everybody eats and just takes whatever naps that they can. Off in the distance, you can see a faint glow, and you can hear distant sounds of what seem to be drums off in the distance. They're probably at this point about 12-ish hours behind.
Okay.
Mhm.
Behind us, so not
So they
ahead.
did not stop at Stonyford.
Or, well, it was abandoned. If they did, the
Yeah.
whole point is it may have slowed them down and bought us extra time. That's all that's really important. It's not about whether
True.
we were able to dissuade them. It was more about putting uncertainty into their actions.
Okay, perfect. I'm actually gonna find Brunhild tonight.
You see her. She's sitting by one of the wagons, and she has a stick, and she's drawing in the dirt with it. Oderic, he's sitting up onto one of the wagons, and you can see he's kind of nibbling at something, but he's staring off in the northward direction still.
Perfect. Is he like within earshot of us too, or if
For
I
sure,
like
it's
lower
the
my
same
voice?
wagon. So she's down like on the ground at the base of it, and he's up in the wagon, eating and
Yeah,
staring up.
okay. I'll like stand a bit further off, and then I'll call to Brunhilde and like gesture for her to come and join me, just so I can have like a moment where Oderic isn't in direct earshot.
She looks up and she looks a little confused at first, but then she stands up and dusts her dress off and drops the stick where she's at, and she kind of slinks over to where you're at. Did you need something?
Sort of. Well, not really. I thought. Do you mind if I give you some advice?
About what?
In and like gestures to my head. Like,
She holds your hand.
I know he's stubborn and he's being an idiot right now because I couldn't help but notice, but you guys haven't really spoken about anything. But I thought you should know 2 things. Firstly, I know what you told me about the circumstances surrounding your husband's death. And he flatly denies that you had anything to do with it, and he takes full responsibility. And he even said that he wouldn't come with us if we took you to Beyond.
She sighs, and you could tell that she's getting not irritated, but a little bit flustered. And she says, "He's only saying that to protect me."
So that's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is that extremely scary army is getting closer. And I don't know what is in store for us the next few days. So I would not wait to talk to anyone that I wanted to talk to. And I wouldn't leave anything I wanted to say unsaid.
You're right. It's strange. I've never seen Oderic so... Well, I've never seen him this brave. He's always been strong, but he's kind of been a coward throughout much of his life. And while I like seeing him like this, what you say is true, and I know that the danger is imminent. I don't want these last moments, whether it's we meet our end by the sword, or worse yet, he is judged, or I am judged. You're right. Why does this have to be so hard, Jess? He's my brother. I love him, of course, and he's been my best friend ever since we were so young. He's made stupid decisions. I've done stupid things too, but I can't help but think that no matter what the future holds for us, it only means more pain, more suffering. I don't want to see him suffer.
Hardness is just a fact of life. We can try and avoid it for as long as we can, but it always catches up to us eventually. My mother used to say that nothing easy was worth doing. The struggles make it all worthwhile. She was talking about picking blackberries and stealing mushrooms, but the same principle, I suppose. As for what your future holds, I cannot say. I promise to tell what I have learnt, both of your differing claims about what happened that night and of, well, your characters, I suppose. As unfair as justice might seem to you, there are other victims beyond just yourself. And these are the people that I need to consider as well.
That's the hardest
However,
part. It's difficult to be... It's difficult to look past the situation that we're in right now, but I do understand what you are saying.
However, I believe in, well, I suppose, second chances, I guess. If one has proved that they're willing to do the right thing, I don't believe that they should be ostracized just for making mistakes. That is not ultimately up to me. If the day of justice comes and Beorn finds it in his heart to have mercy, there is a cat screaming at me right now, then I have friends that I'm sure will be happy to take Oderic in as one of their own.
If there is a life after what we are to endure, it makes me happy that at least there are those that are out there, those like you, that are willing to lend a helping hand. Oderic has been dealt a rough hand in his life. Things haven't always been easy for him, and I haven't always made things easy for him. If I can't take care of him, it does my heart good to know that there are those who will help see him on the right path. And with that, she looks up and gazes over at Oderic sitting up at the cart. She nods and she says, "Thank you, Jess." And she wanders off and goes and joins Oderic up on the top. And at first there's not any conversation that's happening, but she eventually looks at him and puts her head on his shoulder, and he breaks his stoicism and he looks down and he said, and you can see that they are talking, they're chatting, and you can just barely see a small soft smile on Oderic's face before he steels himself again and he looks north. Only this time he has Brunhild at his side, and Brunhild is holding him. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move over to Theodric. Unless, Feanor, you have anything to add to anything that's going on, real quick.
No, I think that was quite a good thing. Feanor, other than just do it, like he would just be more worried than trying to think about what he could do. So like he'd probably be more on his own thinking than anything else.
For sure. Theodric, you ride throughout the first day and throughout the night. You make great speed. Both you and Baradarok, it's been a while since you've been able to stretch your legs like this, roaming as fast as you possibly could muster. This is truly the skilled, the skilled riding of trusted companions of the Rohirrim. After about the towards the end of the first day, you look to your right and you can see that there is a very familiar path, the path to Woodland Hall. And you can think about Ingolmer and what the people of Woodman Hall are doing at this time, knowing that an army is marching north and them not knowing none the wiser. And you can see off into the distance the very, very edge of the silhouette of the old fort. You ride into the night, you stop, you rest for about an hour or two. As Baradarok, you massage his legs and brush him and comb him and feed him a little bit of the food that you have on you before mounting him and riding again into the night. And it's a couple more hours that pass before you start to make your ascent up the old ford. And you hear a very familiar voice just off to your left, the voice of Osred the Rider. He looks down to you and says, "Hail and well met, Theodric. Why are you in such a hurry?"
Osred, just the man I'd like to see. I'm on my way to warn Bayon. There's a large company of well-armed and angry men on their way. They mean to invade Bayon's lands and take his head.
Okay, slow down. What are you talking about?
As you know, we were sent to hunt down Oderic and retrieve Marovich's sword so that he could be buried with it.
Yes, indeed.
We followed Oderic's trail, and we found him in the company of a man named Voltaire, who believes himself to be the rightful ruler of Dale. And he has a great host of loyal men who are willing to shed blood to get him on that throne. And he believes that the best way to do that is to start by killing King Bard's closest allies, starting with Bayon. They have a host of 250 men, and they are on the move.
Not that I don't believe you, but this seems sudden. We've been preparing for war for months against the King of the North. You mean that there's another army coming from the south?
Yes, they are ramshackle and ragtag, but they are well armed and very eager to hurt people.
He leans over and he says a couple of words to the Beorning that's at his side, and then he calls out to you, "Make great haste, but first, how far behind are they? How much time do we have?"
I've been riding all day, haven't I? At a guesstimate, how far behind do I reckon they are? About,
because they are not they're marching and they're not on horseback and they're not moving at the pace that you have. Probably if they were to move directly from Stonyford upwards towards Beorn's lands, I would guess that they're anywhere between 3 to 4 days away at this point.
Okay.
And
Theodric's going to pass on. Well, thankfully they don't have any mounts of their own, and they're all having to travel by foot. But I'd say about 3 to 4 days behind me. Feanor and Jessamine are helping evacuate the people of Stonyford, and they're all on their move to seek safer pastures. But I've ridden on ahead to warn Bayon, and hopefully after that, some of the more closer woodman settlements.
he nods and he says, Thank you for the news. We are in your debt. I will make sure to spread word as far as I can to prepare for war. If an army is coming north, Beorn and his men are going to stand ready to defend our people. And with that, he bids you adieu as you depart into the night.
And I do so. I
It
keep
takes
heading
you.
up.
It takes you about a half a day, a little bit more. It's about 3 p.m. on the second day before you are able to see the gates of Beorn settlement. It's peaceful. It's hard to believe that there is any sort of fires of war that are coming. But you can see that the gates are open, and as you ride Baradarok through the gates that are there, you're immediately greeted with the smell of honey and wildflowers, and it completely removes you from the worry and woe of the outside world. As you step down, you can see that there are a couple of dogs that have come up to investigate the situation, and they sniff you, and immediately they turn around, they turn tail, and book it back to the great great hall that Beorn has. And it's probably about 30 minutes later that you see people come out. Not just these typical Beornings, but you see a few warriors and Beorn himself, this great massive figure, step out from the front doors as he looks down and he says, "Ah, Theodric, I see you're alone. Tell me, what's the news
Yes.
of your quarry?"
Well, we found Oderic, but we have a far larger problem, Lord Bayon. In our attempt to find him and track him, we found a man who goes by a self-titled king, Voltaire, who has a great host of men and plans to take the kingdom of Dale by force. He's gathered his forces and he's marching here on your lands to take your head.
Voltaire. Voltaire. The name is familiar. Rumor has spread throughout the birds of the air, the creatures of the grasslands. This name, Voltaire. And he takes some time as he speaks, very contemplative, but he looks to you and he says, "He is no king. There is one king of Dale, the descendant of Girion, King Bard, and no greater man would I have on that throne than him."
Which is why he wants to take your head. He believes that if he can weaken King Bard by putting his closest allies to the sword, he can march on Dale and take it for himself. And he's got 250 men who are eager to help him make that a reality. When I left Jessamine and Feanor, they were helping evacuate the people of Stonyford. But Voltaire and his men are probably 3, maybe 4 days behind me.
He grumbles, almost growling as if he is in bear form, and he says, "A man gathering 250. That's quite a force. Unfortunately, I don't keep an armed guard here at all times. If I'm to muster my forces to meet this army head-on, we need to do so strategically. While I can't match them in number, we can do what we can to prepare ourselves. Open war is not what the Beornings desire, but if open war is upon us, we will meet them head-on. And Voltaire will taste my claws and my bite. It'll take a day or two to gather what forces that I can. We will meet you, and hopefully your companions, at the old ford."
If you have any way of potentially warning the woodmen of the area or passing messages on to warn them, that'd be
Engulma.
appreciated. To warn Lord Engulma.
Of course.
I'm probably going to double back after resting for an hour or two here with your leave, and hopefully I can catch back up to Feanor and Jessamine and help them protect this people of Stonyford until they get to safety.
He nods, and he looks to 3 men to his left and right, and he says, "When Theodric is ready to leave, you escort him. Intercept any scouts, warriors, brigands that attempt to assault the caravan. Make sure that they get past the old fort safe. Defend that place until I'm able to join you. Theodric, me and my people are in your debt. I will send a couple of my hounds down to the woodman settlements. They will know. They will know what is about to happen."
Thank you, Bayon. I'm not in your. You're not in my debt though. While we did find Oderic, I can't exactly say that we took him into custody by any means.
He shakes his head. "There are more concerning matters at the moment. Yes, justice does need to be served. But what's more important is the defense of my people. Thank you."
Voltaire does have Maravitch's sword, so you'll probably be able to recover that yourself.
He snarls, and he says, "Maravitch would roll over in his grave if he knew that a usurper of thrones carries his blade. Justice will be done."
Yes, unfortunately, Oderic was unaware of Voltaire's true nature when he handed the sword over as a gift. Once he discovered what Voltaire intended on doing, Oderic was quite cooperative with helping us escape him and warn the people of Stonyford.
"What else do you know about this man, Voltaire?"
He seems to wield some sort of sorcery or magic we don't quite understand. According to Feanor, he seems to have some sort of the head of a wizened man in a sack, and he knows things that he shouldn't. Things about my past, who I am, what I want out of life, and he did the same to Feanor as well. It almost feels like he can see the future, but Feanor believes that this item is a cursed object of shadow. And he uses this insight to get into the heads of his men and make them loyal to him. Not so much brainwashing, but he tells them what they want to hear. I mean, some of the things he said to me almost had me wanting to join his forces, but all that talk of conquest kind of soured the whole thing for me, so...
That puts us at a disadvantage. Very few men can wield the dark powers of this world and not succumb to it. But if there's a man worth saving inside, hopefully in the end he reveals himself, before my claws rip his head from his shoulders.
Perhaps, but I don't think we're going to get that chance. He was quite keen on taking your head.
Concerning. He might already know our plans if he has the ability to see into the future. All we can do is rely on our strengths and meet him head on. If we can save as many people as possible in the meantime. He nods and he shakes his head as if determining something. Go. Rest up. I will do what I can to gather my forces as quick as possible. I must leave some here just in case eyes to the north look upon this place emptied, abandoned. But I'll gather what might that I can. Stay strong. You, Feanor, Jess. You're strong. Lead my people. And if fate shall determine it, I shall meet you. Hopefully before the tide turns ill in our favor.
And as he leaves, I'm going to try to find somebody to just let them know roughly how many men they are, what they generally have for weaponry. Let them know they don't have horses of their own, that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
And then I'm just gonna look after Broderick, feed him, water him, give him a rub down, and try and get some rest before I am going to head back to try and find my friends.
You back to Feanor and to Jess. You march through the night, and as you do so, the flames seem to be getting brighter and brighter behind you. They are catching you, but you still have a solid about 8 hours ahead of them from what you can tell. And as the morning shines, you begin to hear the sounds of many, many footsteps off in the distance. At least you begin to feel them slightly. At this point, though, as you look forward, as you look ahead of you, you can see the outline of the old ford up ahead of you. You are past the point where Woodman Hall is. And as you continue forward, all you can think about is being in the safety of the old fort. About another 6 hours pass, and you reach the bottom. And you can hear calls of men off behind you. And at the top of the old ford, you can see Theodric with a host of about 6 or 7 Beorning men, clad in mail and with helms and swords at the ready to intercept whatever is to come. And that is where we're going to end our session for today.
Hey!
My lord.
I'm actually rather impressed that you lot didn't gain, at least with the whole caravan, gain points of exhaustion, either you or the caravan. Can't hear you, Jess, if you're speaking.
I was so expecting us to go into that with like 2 levels of exhaustion, and I'm like, look, we've done it before. We've managed to stave it off before.
Yeah.
But oh my god.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Jess.
Yeah, you've gone mute again.
Time for a reload.
Ugh.
But thoughts on tonight's session while we go into it?
It was intense.
I'm glad that Theodric got like that moment to it's like
my own fault for messing with my settings.
Heck yeah, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
But Theodric having that moment of like, look, this is how I can help. This is what me and Broderick were.
That was
built
absolutely clutch. I'm not gonna lie.
For. And then riding off and us like leading the people, like it was tense. It's like I just gotta ask Kyle, did the host slow down at all when they got to the town?
Absolutely.
What happened with my diversion? Like what? I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see it.
Use shorter fuses next time.
Yeah. It was one of those things where many of those crates, like the flame wasn't large enough to be able to cut through many of them, and it wasn't until one of them went off that the series of explosions went off.
Okay.
You're unsure about how many of the people were affected by this, especially considering the damages that you could have done to both person and items and preparedness. And so you're unsure exactly about how many have made their way towards you at the old ford, but also to Stonyford. There might be some more in tow, but there's really no way of knowing at this point. But I will say the diversions did slow them down to a degree. Being on the other side of the Anduin and seeing that there is, because they probably would have approached towards like daybreak, and so I think it could have fooled them. But as far as the marching goes, based off of how quickly they can march, because I was rolling on my end, seeing what their exhaustion was too. So like behind the scenes too, like they had kind of like a wild card there too. The fact that you had 2 of those marches with nobody, including the caravan, getting it helped you a lot. There was definitely a chance that they could have caught you prior to the.
It feels so cinematic then. I'm glad that it's like that's just how the dice fell.
Yep.
But the dice fell in a way where it's like it's building up to, we just need to get to this spot and then we need to make our stand. We can do this. We can do this.
As you can see, I
In-
have a couple different maps down here of different locations that this could potentially have taken place, and so
Okay.
you'll see what that looks like a little bit later
I
next week.
do think that yeah, we came out of this with the best case scenario, I think.
Oh yeah.
You like the rolling was clutch at the end, especially that I would say even using that prep dice, because going into a battle with 2 points of exhaustion, that's rough.
Yeah.
So, man,
Yeah, cool.
This was a fun session.
Really quick, Kyle, will there
Yes.
be AME next week?
There is AME next week, absolutely.
Okay,
Mhm.
perfect.
Yep.
All right, I'll put that in my calendar. So I don't
By the way, sorry about last week, everybody. My stupid
Oh.
Twitch just decided all of a sudden just be like, hey, we're not going to load any of your stuff. And then it signed me out of everything, and when I signed back into everything, they were just like, sorry, we don't recognize this like stream key and everything. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? So I had to like actually go customer service, and they took about 24 hours to get back to me to figure things out. But
I'm just gonna say,
it's
when you were
working.
talking, it sounded like you said, yeah, it sounded like you were gonna say, yeah, sorry about last week. My stupid twin is what I thought you were about to say. I was about to be like, whoa!
Gosh darn it, Dain.
That's funny.
Versus- No, yeah,
That's
we
actually
definitely
hilarious.
will have AME Wilderland Adventures next week, same time.
I
same
did
place.
I did see that there was 2 sessions today. How did their session in the morning go? I
Oh
was
man,
Yeah.
it was good. The thing that did help is I was prepared for this session last week, and so like
Yeah.
the fact that I was able to do this was because I was already prepared a week ahead of time. It's a lot to get together 2 sessions in a day. Oh my goch, but it worked.
Yeah.
The session this morning was great. They're definitely in a different situation than you guys. You're definitely in much more dire straits at the current.
I've definitely got to catch up on that. It's been a while since I've looked at any of them, but they're all on YouTube, so I can
They're all
go
on
back
YouTube.
and
Yeah.
I can go back and catch up to where we currently are.
For sure.
I'm so looking forward to this like final showdown tomorrow. Next
man.
week.
I'm so devastated that it's gonna be the last one for a while.
Hopefully it's just for a little bit, because as I had mentioned, so for those who don't know, I got full-time at the job that I'm working on. I'm working at a startup company, and we're starting to get clientele and whatnot. As a project manager, that I need to go full-time in order to help with kind of the influx of work. And unfortunately what that means is my work hours get extended because it's working in American time. I work for an American company, and so it's like into the evening and everything, and I'm kind of covering that like night shift as it were for all of that. And so I work from basically the afternoon into the evening, meaning that extends all the way until about like 9 p.m. On pretty much every day of the normal week. Fortunately, lots of prayers and everything, because if I can get to a point where I can go get Everlast kickstarted and I can go more to full-time there, I can drop back to part-time on the job that I'm at.
Yeah.
Especially as the company grows, to be able to bring this back. So hopefully there are lots of actually plans. Dain hinted at it a little bit this morning, and I don't want to spoil too many things, but there are some decently immediate plans that are coming up the pipeline for Everlast. So it's not unreasonable, and so stay tuned for that as far as the stuff that is coming. But probably.
So what I'm hearing is that we should be as reckless as possible and get a TPK next session.
No,
if you wish to do so.
Feanor's gonna just nuke, like, you know, just like
I just got the
everyone.
merch. Let's not ruin it now.
Yeah, Feanor runs in. He's like the whole like Aragorn at the end for Frodo, just like running in.
Yeah.
It's like,
Hey,
why did he
for
sacrifice
real though,
himself?
if you did a
campaign
limited
was
edition
ending.
T-shirt of like the Jalen art, I would buy it.
That's good to know. I'll let Dain know about that. Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the merch that we still have, we'll keep on the store and everything, and hopefully it's until it's not goodbye. I don't think it's going to be goodbye. I have hope. But for the foreseeable future, probably for the remainder of the year, we're probably going to be on the down low for this. But I'll keep you guys, everybody, in the loop as opposed to what's going on. But
It's like,
gotta bring on the bacon.
to be clear, I would be willing to do a morning session if that helps anyone. Like, obviously,
it just doesn't work with my
Yeah.
schedule. Sadly, like
Nick, it's
really
you.
you're the problem.
And
Oh
as we
my
all know,
God.
I'm the main part of this. Like, I'm the
Oh
important.
yeah, you are. No,
Uh,
wait. Wasn't Jalen the main character?
Jalen had very main character vibe. Like,
Yeah.
not that you were
She
playing them as the
died.
main character. Yeah. Didn't have plot armor.
No,
That-
no,
you're-
it
She
was
had
Jalen-
Boromir vibes.
established canonically that she was the main
Jalen was the
character.
Uncle Ben of our party.
Yeah.
She really was though.
She should have the Doom to Die trait, not me.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was just her nature. I don't know.
I will say, guys, if we do see Voltaire, like himself, I have a plan.
You have a plan. You
Yeah.
still
I have a
didn't
plan,
tell
Arthur.
us what he was talking to you about.
Well, I told Theodric.
Oh, yeah,
I
just-
told Theodric what was in the bag. Why would I tell you what we were talking about?
Because it's kind of dicey, my guy.
What? No,
What?
it totally wasn't temptation and things said that may have ended really badly. But
Right.
no, it's all fine.
Okay, cool.
It wasn't it, Kyle. It was completely fine. There was nothing. Nothing happened.
From my perspective, things went great.
Yeah.
It went swimmingly.
Epic.
Never want to
Okay,
hear that
on
from
that
Dain.
note, I
And this
actually
is
have
where-
work tomorrow, so I have to go to bed.
Yeah,
And this is where
absolutely.
Feanor turns around
Cats are
and
gonna
patrols.
keep me up all night.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week
Thank you.
for
I will
the
see you next
conclusion
week
of
for this season finale.
the season finale. I
Yes.
that's a
We'll call
good
it.
way to look at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you want to do a morning session, I'm not working Mondays or Fridays, so
Good to know.
I could figure something if there is another time that works well for like you guys,
Yeah.
especially you, Kyle. Like I would be open to it, but I'm not gonna like be like, oh yeah, it's like
Yeah, for
let's
sure.
prepare for that. But I would definitely be. I would look forward to it a lot. It would be really great.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Definitely keep.
I just
Definitely
I
keep
just
your
want to keep
ears
this
on
thing
the-
going. That's all.
Keep your ears on the Discord server because that's where all of the new info is going to come. I probably won't announce anything on stream, especially anything speculative, because I just don't want to make promises on stream that I can't keep.
Yeah.
And so
Fair enough.
most of that information about kind of just the progress of everything and how it's going to be going, I will message you in the AME Discord server, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. But for the meantime, Fantasy Forge is still here, so we're
Yeah.
continuing things onward as usual. It's just unfortunately I can't do my evening stream anymore, and so
Yeah.
I will be doing morning streams, my 2 morning streams for the meantime, and until we're able to hopefully get things back on track, we're looking pretty good. But thank you all so much. This is great. Thank you so much, Spider. I appreciate you. You have a good one. Good luck at work tomorrow. Does anyone else have anything last minute to share before we do conclude this for the evening?
Oh, actually, like reflecting back on the session, I was really surprised that Feanor got quite as good a roles as he did for like charisma-based stuff.
Yeah.
Like telling that story in front of. I was fully expecting that to fall for him to fall flat on his face. He has shown that he's not the
as well, to be quite honest.
he's not the greatest at the distractions unless it's a fight. Then he's awesome. Yeah, no,
For sure.
it was. I was hyped for it. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love it. Dom, any last thoughts from you?
That was spectacular. I loved that. Like, I'm really stoked with my roles for 1, sneaking O'Derek out,
That was
and 2,
Yeah.
getting all the way to Bayonne.
I just
that
have to
quickly.
ask: did I give Theodric the cloak, like the thing that helps him sneak better?
No.
No. Okay, because I'm going to give that. I was thinking about giving that to Jess this session, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember if I actually had it anymore. Because giving Jess advantage on any on stealth rolls is just going to be broken. And hopefully, when we return at some point,
I
that'll
have
be. Yeah.
the beginnings of a plan, and I don't know how it'll go or how feasible it is.
Look, I will say it because I know Kyle won't be metagaming here. Feanor has an ability that he got in our last rest that I haven't really been able to flare up other than like little, hey, look at this. I can make the softest of glowings in my hand. How cool's that? So there's a thing that I will be able to do that potentially may really mess up Voltaire.
Okay.
So
Cool.
It's exciting.
I'm
I hope
excited
it
to see
plays
how things
out.
turn out. The one thing about like these sessions is obviously as a DM you can plan for sessions and you have a general idea of what's happening, but the events of the story are really told by the players. And so like it's basically as a DM your job is to react to what's going on while still keeping the main story framework intact.
Yeah.
And being able to move on your feet. But like I'm prepared, but these things are just as exciting for me seeing like how you're going, especially with like the different rules, whether like today earlier in the area door adventures there were some really bad rules, but they turned out to be actually like pretty good for the overall of the story that happened during that. And it's great to see how like just kind of like that fate itself shapes the story outside of like it takes it out of my hands of the storytelling too, and it's so exciting and fun to see it. And so whether the role is good, whether the role is bad, like it's just kind of like, well, this is kind of how it's meant to be, and let's see how everything turns out. Because
Let's see how it develops.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it was great. Thank you so much for an amazing session. I can't wait next week to, as Spider said, the season finale. And yeah, let's see if you are able to survive the onslaught of Voltaire and his men as they storm the old fort. But
so what we're going to do is the minefield that I installed in the off time is going to be directly between us and them, and it's just going to kill their entire
Totally.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be super cool. I'm excited to see what strategies and stuff that you have, because it is a giant army of men. Don't know exactly how many are marching, but considering what people you have to fight, it's going to be relatively overwhelming. So it's going to require a decent amount of strategy, that's for sure. As far as that goes. But with that being the case, we're going to go ahead and end it here. We do have a sponsor, Daisnaki. They're a Japanese sweets and luxury treats company. They have a number of Japanese snack boxes from their omakase box. It has more popular Japanese snacks to their omakase looks box, which has more traditional Japanese snacks. At checkout, say the Fantasy Forge sent you. That's how we get the credit and how we make our way towards our next free omakase box giveaway, which we're so close. It's crazy how close we are. And if you put your Twitch name, you will get essentially a raffle tickets towards potentially a bigger opportunity of getting that omakase box. What else? We also have Everlast this weekend, the tabletop RPG that I am creating. There's a couple ways that you can support it. Currently, we're in the moment we're building art and everything for it. We have Coffee of the Realm, so you can buy some Everlast themed coffee, and we have Candles of the Realm, and we currently have our seasonal fall flavored Shiloh. I think Shiloh Harvest is what it's called. And yeah, it's a nice fall scented now that we're moving into pumpkin spice season. I love it. But that's all for me for today. Cole's going to be continuing his run of Paper Mario, and that's going to be tomorrow, and then Everlast this weekend, and then we're going to go back into a normal schedule next week, with Wednesday night being more the conclusion of this chapter of Wilderland Adventure. Thank you all. You are amazing. May the road go ever onward and onward. And I will see you all this Saturday for some Everlast. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you.